Chapter 2477. Devouring Sky Supreme, the most legendary person in the war god world. 100 years ago, he rose from nothing and swept across the world, pushing the Changsan sect to an unimaginable peak. He defeated countless experts, suppressed the extraterritorial demon race, ruled over the various saint lands, and created many legends. Ling Xiao's name had become the glory of the entire war god world. Since Ling Xiao ascended to the divine world 100 years ago, his name had spread throughout the war god world. Almost everyone saw him as their idol. The war god world welcomed a chance to flourish because of him. There were many geniuses, martial arts prospered, and experts gathered. Ling Xiao's deeds back then were talked about enthusiastically by people. Devouring Sky Supreme had become the legend of the entire war god world. And now, the heaven-devouring sword, the personal sword of the heaven-devouring supremacy, had actually appeared here. Not only that, it was displaying its godly might, forcing His Majesty the God King into a wretched state. He was practically on the verge of dying under the heaven-devouring sword. Everyone's heart was filled with inexplicable excitement. At the same time, a doubt emerged in their hearts. Why would the devouring Sky Supreme be in the hands of this white-clothed young man? What? This is the devouring Sky Supreme. Who are you? Jun Tiancheng's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at Ling Xiao. The name of the devouring Sky Supreme was like thunder to his ears. Whether it was in the divine world or the war god world, Jun Tiancheng would tremble when he thought of that person. That person was a peerless, ruthless person who could kill great sages, saint kings and heavenly sovereigns. Who am I? What do you think? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said noncommittally. Impossible. You can't be Ling Xiao. Even an imperial emperor would die when a chaos supreme treasure self-destructs. Ling Xiao died in the divine world long ago. You just obtained his sword by accident. Jun Tiancheng roared with a trace of panic in his eyes. He didn't want to believe that the white-clothed young man in front of him was Ling Xiao. This was simply impossible. Moreover, if this matter was true, then not only him, but the entire war god realm's people who descended would all die without a burial ground. Puff! Taking advantage of the moment when Jun Tiancheng was distracted, a blazing swordlight descended from the sky and directly cut off his legs. Blood filled the void. The sky-devouring sword instantly sucked out the blood essence of his two severed legs and turned them into ashes. Jun Tiancheng, this sword is Uncle Nangong's. Long Outyen's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he chopped off Jun Tiancheng's legs with the sky-devouring sword. Ah, you deserve to die. Jun Tiancheng's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he roared furiously. His face was incomparably ferocious. He quickly escaped from the range of the sky-devouring sword. The majestic life force in his body surged, wanting to regrow his severed limbs. In these 10 years in the war god realm, Jun Tiancheng really thought of himself as an invincible divine king. He always kept his word and his words were the law. How could he tolerate his legs being cut off by others? To him, this was an unbearable humiliation. Rumble. Jun Tiancheng's body surged with blazing divine light as a purple thunderbolt gushed out from between his eyebrows. It turned into a huge purple saber light in the void, exuding a vast heavenly might as it slashed down towards Long Outyen. However, after this saber was formed, Jun Tiancheng couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face became incomparably pale as blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. He looked extremely terrifying. Clearly, Jun Tiancheng had paid a great price to activate this saber. Heavenly bloodline saber. It seems like Jun Tiancheng isn't a nobody even in the 9 imperial gates. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he instantly recognized this move that Jun Tiancheng had unleashed. The 9 imperial gates' secret technique, the supreme heavenly bloodline saber, had once posed a great threat to Ling Xiao. However, after Ling Xiao killed the emperor's son of the 9 imperial gates, he had also cultivated the heavenly bloodline saber. Crack! A glint flashed through Long Outyen's eyes. He felt a great threat from the purple blade light in the air. Without even thinking about it, he wielded the sky-devouring sword and unleashed a tremendous amount of sky-devouring sword chi in an instant. The purple saber light contained a dignified, ancient, and mysterious ripple. It was as if everything in the world was as insignificant as ants before this saber. Although the heaven-devouring sword chi was extremely sharp, it was instantly shattered. Die! Jun Tiancheng's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He hated Long Out Yen to the extreme and wanted to kill him no matter what. Jun Tiancheng, you haven't even obtained the slightest bit of the heavenly bloodline saber. You're a disgrace to the 9 imperial gates. At this moment, Ling Xiao's indifferent voice rang out in the void. Crack! Ling Xiao pointed his finger and a purple light blossomed from his fingertip. In an instant, boundless light illuminated the world. A purple saber light as brilliant as the sun appeared in front of Long Out Yen and collided with the heavenly bloodline saber. With a clear sound, Jun Tiancheng's blood-violet blade of the heavens ways shattered. The violet blade of light shot through the air and directly severed Jun Tiancheng's regenerated legs. Ah! You! How do you know the heavenly bloodline saber of the 9 imperial gates? Who are you? Jun Tiancheng cried out miserably. His eyes were filled with terror. Ling Xiao's heavenly bloodline saber erupted like the might of the heavens. It contained the power of the heavenly Tao, and it was as if the power of the heavenly Tao had descended. Jun Tiancheng had no chance to resist at all. Furthermore, after Jun Tiancheng's legs were chopped off, he seemed to be affected by a mysterious power and could not regrow them. This saber is for the many disciples of the longevity sect who died. Long Out Yen's eyes flashed with killing intent. He took the opportunity to soar into the sky. 2 resplendent sword lights descended and chopped off Jun Tiancheng's arms. This saber is for the souls of the humans who died because of you in the war god's world. Sword light bloomed in the void. The heaven-devouring sword slapped Jun Tiancheng's face and sent him flying. A mouthful of teeth mixed with blood flew out. His face was swollen and he looked extremely miserable. This saber is for myself. Another sword light descended and almost cut open Jun Tiancheng's stomach. Chapter 2479. Jun Tiancheng was a peerless divine king who had descended to the war god world 10 years ago. He had once dominated the 8 Desolaces and suppressed the invincible Jun Tiancheng. But now, he was like a dead dog being cut into a human stick by Long Out Yen. This kind of visual impact caused everyone to tremble from head to toe. They felt an indescribable sense of fear. There were even many people who didn't have strong wills who fainted from fright. All of this was because of Ling Xiao. Everyone's gaze fell on the peak of Longevity Mountain. The peerless figure in white stood with his hands behind his back. Their eyes were filled with respect. Who are you? Jun Mo roared angrily. He stared at Ling Xiao with bloodshot eyes. He knew that no matter if it was him or his father, Jun Tiancheng, they would most likely meet their end today. However, he wanted to know the reason for his death. He wanted to know who this white-robed man was. Who am I? I am Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His eyes were calm and deep as he admitted his identity. Dazzling light bloomed around him. He regained his original appearance and appeared in front of everyone. Wow! Ling Xiao's words were like a clap of thunder that exploded in the void. It made everyone tremble. They were all in disbelief. Is he really Ling Xiao? Someone said in a trembling voice. He had mentioned a legendary name. Although everyone was suspicious after the appearance of the sky-devouring sword, Long Out Yen did not recognize him. Moreover, Jun Tiancheng said that Ling Xiao had died in the war god world. Everyone was still suspicious. However, now that Ling Xiao had personally admitted his identity and revealed his true form, the crowd no longer had any doubts about him. I have seen the portrait of the sky-devouring supreme. He looks exactly like the sky-devouring supreme. A young man exclaimed. His eyes were filled with fanatical worship. He had just entered the supremacy realm. He was young and looked extraordinary. He was one of the young geniuses in the war god world. He admired the sky-devouring supreme the most. There was a portrait of the sky-devouring supreme in his house. Now that he saw Ling Xiao, he felt his entire body tremble. His blood was boiling, and he was so excited that he could not control himself. Ling Xiao stood at the top of Longevity Mountain. He wore a white robe and his entire body glowed. He looked extremely handsome and had a faint smile on his face. He looked like a young emperor, naturally radiating an invincible aura. He stood at the peak of the Longevity Mountain, and it was as if he could hold up the heaven and earth. His body contained boundless power, and one would involuntarily kneel down just by looking at him. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao, feeling as if they were in a trance. 100 years ago, the heaven-devouring supreme Ling Xiao who had ascended to the heavens and left behind countless legends had returned. Ling Xiao. Impossible. How could you be Ling Xiao? He died in the explosion of the wordless heavenly book. You lied to me, you lied to me. Jun Tiancheng, who had already been reduced to a human stick, instantly trembled when he saw Ling Xiao. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He roared like a madman, and his eyes were filled with disbelief and fear. He could not believe that this was real. However, he had seen Ling Xiao before, and he had seen many portraits of Ling Xiao during his 10 years in the war god world. The white-robed young man in front of him, regardless of appearance or temperament, was exactly the same as Ling Xiao. Jun Tiancheng's heart trembled. He did not want to believe that Ling Xiao was still alive, because he knew that Ling Xiao was still alive. Whether it was the war god world, the divine world, or even the myriad of worlds, this news would cause an uproar, and unimaginable changes would occur. Pooh! At this moment, the heaven-devouring sword in Long Outyen's hand pierced into Jun Tiancheng's body. A terrifying holy aura erupted, destroying his divine force and cultivation. The holy aura shot up into the sky, shattering Jun Tiancheng's divine Tao foundation, knocking him down from the clouds. He was completely reduced to a mortal without any cultivation. Bang! Bang! Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo fell from the sky like dead dogs, kneeling at Ling Xiao's feet. Their faces were ashen and filled with despair. Heaven-devouring supreme! Heaven-devouring supreme! Heaven-devouring supreme! Suddenly, the Longevity Mountain's peak was filled with thunderous cheers. Many people from the war god world looked at Ling Xiao with excitement and fanaticism. How could they be willing to be bullied by the divine dynasty? How could they be willing to bend their knees and be enslaved and ordered around by Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo? How could their hearts not be filled with the flames of anger? It was just that they were too weak to resist, and they had already accepted their fate. Today, the legend had returned. It was like the sun that had pierced through the darkness and illuminated the entire world. Heaven-devouring supreme, Ling Xiao, had arrived at the war god world in a domineering manner, knocking the high and mighty deity king down from the clouds. After experiencing the initial shock and disbelief, everyone instantly felt a strong sense of gratitude and worship. They even felt proud. This was the supreme of the entire war god world. Even the deity king of the divine world could only kneel before him. Ling Xiao, you have such a high prestige in the war god world. Nanan was a little surprised and looked at Ling Xiao suspiciously. I didn't expect it either. Ling Xiao was also a little surprised. The reason why he had risen so quickly in the war god world was because he had stepped on the bones of countless people to reach the peak. Logically speaking, in just a short 100 years, there should still be many people who hated him. Ling Xiao was a little uncomfortable with the attention in front of him. However, he guessed that it was probably the effect of the longevity sect over the years. A gleam of light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. He could sense a few powerful senses of the soul piercing through space, extending towards the peak of the Longevity Mountain without any restraint. The owners of those divine senses were at least in the deity king realm. 2 of them had even reached the sage-to-be realm. Obviously, the owners of those divine senses were also alarmed by the fluctuations of the battle here. They were using their divine senses to check what was going on. Crack! Two black and white divine lights shot out from Ling Xiao's eyes. In an instant, they pierced through the void and annihilated those powerful divine senses. I am Ling Xiao. You can send the news that I am still alive back to the divine world. You can tell them that one day, I, Ling Xiao, will kill my way back to the divine world. Those who have attacked me before, I will not let a single one of them off. Ling Xiao's voice was like a brilliant heavenly might that exploded in the void. The owners of those divine senses groaned and spat out mouthfuls of blood like frightened rabbits. Their eyes were filled with fear. Ling Xiao was still alive. That peerless, ruthless person didn't die in the explosion of the wordless heavenly book. Chapter 2481. If not for the world of immortals protecting the Changsun sect, the Changsun sect would have been wiped out in the war 10 years ago. A deity king was enough to suppress the unrivaled, suppress the longevity gate, and kill everyone. 9 imperial obelisk, damn it. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He hated the 9 imperial obelisk to the extreme. He did not expect the 9 imperial obelisk to be so ruthless. After knowing that Ling Xiao had self-destructed the wordless heavenly book and died, they still sent experts down to the lower world to eliminate the Changsun sect. This had already infuriated Ling Xiao, causing his killing intent towards the Changsun sect to reach its peak. But it's all good now. You're back. I believe everyone will be happy. Long Outyen said with a smile. Buzz. An ancient jade talisman appeared in his hand. It was imprinted with the 2 ancient characters, longevity. It shone brightly and shot toward the sea of reincarnation in an instant. The sea of reincarnation trembled slightly. The seawater parted to 2 sides and a huge whirlpool appeared. It contained an extremely powerful spatial fluctuation. It seemed to lead to an ancient world. This is the world of immortals. Ling Xiao's heart trembled. In an instant, he leaped up and flew into the vortex, disappearing without a trace. Long Outyen could understand Ling Xiao's excitement. He smiled and followed him. Rumble. A bright light shone. Endless streams of light flashed. It was as if they were separated by millions of miles. When the scene in front of him became clear, Ling Xiao appeared in a familiar yet foreign world. Ling Xiao and Long Outyen stood in the void. The clouds were faintly discernible in the distance. The mountain range was undulating and looked extremely green. It contained dense spiritual energy of the heavens and earth. It was like a paradise. This was the world of immortals. What a dense power of faith. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light. The moment he entered the lifelong realm, he could already feel a boundless amount of faith gushing towards him. The faith energy interweaved in the air, forming a resplendent golden spiritual energy that was akin to an ocean. With Ling Xiao's current cultivation, he could feel that the power of faith was not to be underestimated. If he could integrate it into his primordial spirit, it could even increase the strength of his primordial spirit by 10%. 10% of a great sage's primordial spirit was already a terrifying amount of energy. Cousin, the world of immortals now is about the same size as the world of war 100 years ago. There are billions of living beings here, tens of thousands of Lingxiao divine halls, and tens of thousands of statues of you. Now, all the living beings in the world of immortals are your followers. Long Outyen saw Ling Xiao and seemed to have noticed something. Ling Xiao was a little shaken as well. The burning incense divine Tao was a Tao that relied on the power of faith to prove one's Tao. It had always been regarded as a minor Tao. Other than the Buddhists who still cultivated it, it was almost extinct in the God realm. But when Ling Xiao was training in the land of inheritance of the heavenly prison great emperor, he deeply understood the terror of the power of faith. It was enough to turn a mortal into a god. Moreover, the power of faith had many wonderful uses. In the heavenly prison scripture that Ling Xiao obtained, there was a cultivation method that used the power of faith to cultivate. It was definitely not inferior to the cultivation method of the heavenly Tao. No wonder the great emperors of ancient times would establish the heavenly court and have billions of followers. It was probably for the power of faith. Could it be that the power of faith is extremely important to the great emperors? Ling Xiao's heart moved. He recalled some legends of the heavenly court and seemed to have grasped something in his heart. It was very likely that the power of faith had some secrets that he did not know about. Maybe, I can use the world of immortals as a foundation and try the cultivation method of the power of faith. Ling Xiao thought in his heart. He did not absorb the power of faith into his body. Instead, he let it float in the sky above the world of immortals like a golden ocean. Not good. Cici is in danger. Long Outyin suddenly exclaimed. In an instant, he turned into a ray of light and flew downwards. What? After hearing Long Outyin's words, Ling Xiao could not help but tremble. He immediately regained his senses and extended his majestic divine sense towards the distance. In the forest, a little girl who looked like she was carved out of jade was running forward with a cute little white rabbit in her arms. Her eyes were filled with a pitiful look. Behind her, a tiger that was as white as jade was chasing after the little girl. There was not a single trace of impurity on its body. It was emitting an incomparably powerful aura. The white tiger's eyes revealed a human-like look of ridicule. There was also a trace of greed. It was as if the little girl in front of it was some kind of delicious food that it was unwilling to give up. Woo woo woo. Tiger, don't chase me. If you continue to chase me, I will ask my brothers to beat you to death. I have more than 100 brothers. They will really beat you to death. The little girl ran as she spoke to the white tiger behind her. The little girl's speed was not slow. Every step she took was a few hundred feet. She shuttled through the forest and looked very agile. The white tiger's speed was also very fast. However, it did not seem to be as agile as the little girl. It was being run around in circles by the little girl. Cici. All of a sudden, an anxious voice rang out in the void. The little girl lifted her head and instantly saw Long Outyin. Her eyes were filled with incomparable joy. Cousin, help me chase this stinky tiger away. It wants to eat my little rabbit. The little girl hurriedly said to Long Outyin. It turned out that this little girl was Ling Cici. Roar! As if it sensed a dangerous aura from Long Outyin, the white tiger instantly became alert. It stood there and looked at Long Outyin cautiously. However, at this moment, a powerful aura descended. It was as mighty as the heavens, causing the white tiger to cry out in pain. It immediately lay on the ground as if it was pressed down by an invisible hand. There was no way for it to stand up. Its eyes were filled with fear. Ling Xiao floated down and stood in front of Ling Cici. Thank you, big brother. Who are you, big brother? Why haven't I seen you before? Ling Cici blinked her cute big eyes. Her long eyelashes fluttered. Her gaze was extremely pure as she looked at Ling Xiao curiously. When he met Ling Cici's gaze, Ling Xiao could not help but tremble. His heart became extremely soft. Chapter 2482. Ling Xiao was almost instantly sure that the little girl in front of him was his sister. However, Ling Xiao suddenly felt a little uneasy and awkward. He didn't know how to answer Ling Cici's question. Cici, haven't you always wanted to see your brother, Ling Xiao? He's Ling Xiao. He's back to see you. Long Outyin patted Ling Cici's little head and said dotingly. My brother. Ling Xiao. Are you really my brother? Ling Cici asked timidly as she widened her eyes in surprise and looked at Ling Xiao seriously. Cici, I'm your brother, Ling Xiao. I'm back. Ling Xiao said softly. His eyes were a little hot. He took a few steps towards Cici and wanted to hug her. However, he was afraid of scaring her, so he stopped in his tracks. Big brother, can you hug me? Father and mother said that brother will definitely like Cici. Don't dislike me, okay? Ling Cici looked at Ling Xiao and said. Her big eyes suddenly became a little red with a trace of anticipation. Cici is so obedient. Of course brother will like Cici. Ling Xiao's eyes were slightly red. He walked over with a smile and then hugged Cici tightly in his arms. Brother, Cici missed you so much. But father and mother missed you even more. I saw them secretly wiping their tears at your portrait many times. Cici also hugged Ling Xiao tightly. Her voice was a little choked up. Ling Xiao didn't say anything. His eyes were misty, but it disappeared in an instant. He only hugged Cici tighter. Who's there? Put down Cici. Suddenly, a stern voice rang out. Sword light rose in the void and locked onto Ling Xiao's figure. A young man in black robes wielded an ancient sword. His body emitted a powerful ripple of the divine way. He pointed at Ling Xiao and said with an extremely sharp gaze. Xiao Qi, don't you recognize me? Ling Xiao slowly turned around with Cici in his arms. There was a trace of a smile in his eyes. Moss. Master. The black-robed young man's body trembled. After seeing Ling Xiao, his eyes were filled with disbelief. However, he immediately became excited. His eyes were red and he was so excited that he couldn't control himself. The black-robed young man was Ji Hangong, Ling Xiao's seventh true disciple. Ling Xiao had always called him Xiao Qi. Hearing that familiar name, Ji Hangong's body trembled and couldn't help but cry. When Long Outyen and Ling Xiao entered the world of immortals, he had already sensed their auras. However, Ling Xiao's aura was too strong, causing Ji Hangong to feel as if he was facing a great enemy. He thought that a strong enemy had invaded, so he quickly rushed over. But he didn't expect that the person to be Xiao. The master that he yearned for day and night, the master that he deeply respected and loved, the master that awed the world, the master that swept away all enemies, the master that saved him between life and death. You're already so old, already a heavenly deity, yet you still like to cry so much. Xiao Qi, how have you all these years? Ling Xiao smiled. His eyes were slightly red as he walked up and patted Ji Hangong's shoulder. Ji Hangong was now a heavenly god. He was even stronger than Long Outyen. Furthermore, he no longer looked like a child. He had regained his previous appearance. Ah! Master, I miss you so much. Ji Hangong threw the sword in his hand away and then knelt down in front of Ling Xiao. He hugged Ling Xiao's leg and began to cry. The sound shocked Ling Xiao and Long Outyen. Alright. Hurry up and get up. Won't others laugh at you if they see you like this? Ling Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he comforted Ji Hangong. Then, he lifted Ji Hangong up. Cici lay in Ling Xiao's embrace and looked curiously at Qi Gu, who was usually very serious. Why was he crying so sadly now? Eldest senior brother, second senior brother, third senior brother, fourth senior brother, fifth senior brother, sixth senior brother, don't go into seclusion anymore. Master is back. Ji Hangong suddenly shouted towards the void. His voice spread throughout the mountain range. Whoosh! 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 A moment later, several powerful auras soared into the sky, emitting incomparably powerful fluctuations. In an instant, they appeared around Ji Hangong. Their eyes were filled with incomparable doubt and excitement. Ling Xiao's 7 direct disciples were all here. When Mu Linfeng, Dugu Longcheng, Yi Qianjue, Lu Jiani, Yan Yangtian, and Lu Qing'e saw Ling Xiao, their bodies shook. Their eyes were filled with excitement and joy. Master, you're back. Master, we really miss you. Master, is that you? Am I dreaming? Eldest senior brother, pinch me. Why do I see Master coming back? Ling Xiao's heart was filled with excitement when he saw the 7 direct disciples. His eyes were filled with gratification. Master is back. Disciple Mu Linfeng greets Master. Mu Linfeng took a deep breath and knelt down respectfully, kowtowing deeply to Ling Xiao. Disciple Dugu Longcheng greets Master. Disciple Yi Qianjue greets Master. Disciple Lu Jiani greets Master. Disciple Yan Yangtian greets Master. Disciple Lu Qing'e greets Master. Disciple Ji Hengong greets Master. The 7 direct disciples all knelt down in front of Ling Xiao with their eldest disciple, Mu Linfeng, in the lead. They were overwhelmed with excitement. To them, Ling Xiao was like a teacher and a father. Even though they had only been separated for 100 years, they missed him dearly. All of them looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of admiration. Ling Xiao was extremely gratified. He did not stop them. Instead, after accepting their 3 bows and 9 kowtows, he raised his hand, and the 7 direct disciples could not help but stand up straight. Just how powerful is Master? The 7 of them could not help but be shocked. They believed that even God Kings could not lift them up with a wave of their hand like Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's strength was unfathomable, so they naturally felt like he was unfathomable. He, junior nephew, I'm afraid you don't know. Cousin and I have already captured those 2 bastards Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo. Long Out Yin chuckled. Light flashed in his hand, and Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo appeared before the 7 of them. Jun Tiancheng. Jun Mo. After seeing Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo, the eyes of Mu Linfeng and the others instantly turned red with hatred. They couldn't wait to kill Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo immediately. The hands of the 2 of them were stained with the blood of countless Changsun sect disciples. Everyone in the Changsun sect hated them to the core. Lin Feng, I'll leave the 2 of them to you. Ling Xiao said to Mu Linfeng. Don't worry, Master. I will definitely sacrifice their lives in front of all the longevity sect's disciples to pay tribute to the souls of our longevity sect's disciples. Mu Linfeng said solemnly before lifting Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo up. Chapter 2483. Because of Ji Hongong's shout, the entire Changsun sect was alarmed. Very quickly, Ling Xiao saw many familiar figures. Ancestral Master, you're back. Great. Cough cough cough. Nangong Xian sat in a wheelchair and was pushed by Nangong Qing towards Ling Xiao. Nangong Xian's eyes were filled with excitement. He was so excited that he started coughing. His current condition did not look good. Both his legs were cut off, his cultivation was crippled, and his face was extremely pale. His entire body exuded a kind of lethargy, like a candle flame in the wind. It was as though his life had come to an end. Nangong Qing was wearing a white dress. Her skin was snow-white, and her face was extremely beautiful. She was tall and her clothes fluttered in the wind. She looked like a peerless beauty. She looked at Ling Xiao with excitement in her eyes. Her red lips parted slightly as if she wanted to say something. In the end, she did not say anything. Elder Nangong, are you all right? Jun Mo really deserves to die. Ling Xiao hurried over and held Nangong Xian's hand. His eyes were filled with incomparable anger. Jun Mo could have killed Nangong Xian, but he spared Nangong Xian's life to humiliate Nangong Xian and the entire Changsun sect. Now, Nangong Xian was like a lamp that had run out of oil. Ancestral Master, since you're back, our Changsun sect has hope. I should have died long ago. Now that I see you, even if I die, I can die in peace. Nangong Xian said with a smile. He looked extremely optimistic, as though he had already disregarded life and death. Elder Nangong, I've already captured Jun Mo. I'll use his life to pay tribute to the disciples of Changsun sect. As for your injuries, although they are serious, there's still hope for you to recover. Ling Xiao said seriously. Ancestral Master, don't waste your efforts. An old man like me is not worth your divine power. I'm already satisfied to be able to live and see you return. Nangong Xian said with a faint smile. He knew his condition. Even Mu Linfeng and the others who were in the heavenly god realm were helpless. He did not wish for Ling Xiao to waste his divine power for him. He had even given up on the idea of recovery. He only wanted to die. Sect leader, I said I can heal you. I can definitely heal you. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Then, he grabbed Nangong Xian's arm. Boom! Dazzling light bloomed around Ling Xiao, and the vast life origin in his body surged towards Nangong Xian. Saintly might filled the air, and beams of brilliant light enveloped Nangong Xian. Crack! Lightning seemed to bloom from Nangong Xian's body. Boundless life force surged, dispelling the lethargy in his body in an instant. It swam through his body, repairing all his damaged meridians and making them even more powerful. Nangong Xian's legs grew back at a speed visible to the naked eye. An extremely powerful presence erupted from Nangong Xian's body. His cultivation had been crippled, but Ling Xiao had healed all his wounds, repairing his shattered meridians and dantian. She had even condensed a soul for him. Basically, Nangong Xian had recovered to his peak in just a short while. A titled Supreme was merely half a step away from the divine spirit realm. I've recovered my cultivation. Nangong Xian's body trembled, and he couldn't help but let out a long cry. His voice was filled with joy and excitement. He had never imagined that his legs and cultivation would be crippled. He was already on the brink of death, but Ling Xiao was able to heal him in such a short time. This was simply unbelievable. Ling Xiao's cultivation had probably reached an unimaginable level. Ancestor Ling Xiao is actually so powerful. Everyone was shocked, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. A moment ago, Nangong Xian was still on the verge of death, but in an instant, Ling Xiao had healed his injuries and restored his peak cultivation. The position of sect leader was still vacant in the Changsun sect. When Ling Xiao returned, even Nangong Xian and Ling Xiao's 7 direct disciples would only be elders in the Changsun sect. However, Nangong Xian was the sect leader in name, and he was in charge of many affairs in the Changsun sect. He was highly respected among the disciples in the Changsun sect. Nangong Xian being crippled was a huge blow to the Changsun sect. With Ling Xiao's help, Nangong Xian was instantly healed. Such a miraculous method made everyone tremble in excitement. They looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of fanaticism and worship. Ling Xiao. Ancestor Ling Xiao, thank you. Nangong Qing's eyes were filled with gratitude and complexity as she said softly to Ling Xiao. You're welcome. Ling Xiao smiled. He also saw many familiar faces around Nangong Qing, such as the Great Elder, Deng Yalan, Lu Chuanxiong, Gu Zhong, Wang Han, and the others. Everyone looked at him with respect. We can't go back to the past. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly in his heart. When everyone knew that he was the sky-devouring supreme, Nangong Qing and the rest could no longer treat him as a junior because Ling Xiao was the sky-devouring supreme ancestor of the Changsun sect. Everyone only had respect and fear for him, and they could no longer treat him as an equal. Greetings, Ancestor Ling Xiao. Greetings, Ancestor Ling Xiao. As Nangong Xian bowed to Ling Xiao, the surrounding disciples of the Changsun sect also bowed to Ling Xiao at the same time, and their voices shook the void. Everyone, please rise. Ling Xiao raised his hand, and everyone who was bowing to him was lifted up. Ha ha ha. You're finally back. A hearty laugh was heard, and a majestic middle-aged man in a black dragon robe and a flat crown appeared in the void. He was the Dragon King of the Dragon Tribe, Long Lai. Ling Xiao realized that Long Lai's cultivation had reached the divine realm, and he was at the peak of the divine realm. He was only a step away from breaking through to the true God realm. Uncle. Ling Xiao said with a smile, a hint of friendliness in his eyes. Behind Long Lai were Long Lai's sons and daughters. They could be considered Ling Xiao's cousins. When they saw Ling Xiao, they all winked at Ling Xiao, looking very happy. Uncle, where are my father and mother? Ling Xiao asked curiously. He saw many familiar faces, but he did not see Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan. I know where father and mother are. They are cultivating in seclusion. Brother, I'll bring you to them, okay? Before Long Lai could speak, Ling Sisi quickly said. That's right. Your father and mother's cultivation have reached the peak of the divine spirit realm, and they are going to break through in seclusion today. They are in the forbidden area behind the mountain. Chapter 2484. All right. Let's go to the back of the mountain to take a look. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a tinge of anticipation. He had not seen his father and mother for over 100 years. He wondered if they were doing well. Thinking of the reluctant gazes of Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan when he left the realm of the gods, Ling Xiao's heart trembled. Unknowingly, his originally tranquil state of mind had long become chaotic. This kind of restraint might be a kind of disturbance to the heart of Tao, but Ling Xiao did not deliberately cut off this restraint. This was his Tao of protection. It was the strength that supported him to move forward. Swoosh! Ling Xiao carried Cici and headed to the back of the mountain. Like a ray of bright golden light, they arrived at the forbidden area of the back of the mountain in an instant. The reason why it was called the forbidden area of the back of the mountain was because of the path understanding tree planted in the back of the mountain. The path understanding tree now looked lush and was filled with boundless vitality. The tree trunk was like a heavenly pillar, with luxuriant branches and leaves. The crown of the tree covered the sky and the sun, as vast as a dome. Once he arrived at the back of the mountain, Ling Xiao's heart became calm. The huge path understanding tree swayed in the wind. The collision of the leaves was like the sound of metal clashing. It was crisp and melodious, as though it was intertwined into a mysterious rhythm that resonated with the heaven and earth. In such a state, it was easy for one to fall into the state of path understanding. Brother, look, father and mother are over there. Cici pointed at a pair of figures under the path understanding tree and suddenly said. Her eyes were filled with surprise. The pair of figures were Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan. Ling Zhen was dressed in white and looked extraordinarily handsome. Although he exuded an aura of vicissitudes, it made him even more charming. Long Hanyan looked elegant and dignified. At this moment, her entire body was glowing. It was a kind of fluctuation of a breakthrough, making her appear ethereal and otherworldly. Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan sat cross-legged under the path understanding tree with their palms facing each other. The mysterious rhythm of the path understanding tree caused them to fall into the state of path understanding. They exuded a strong aura of a breakthrough. It seems that father and mother will be able to break through to the real God realm soon. However, this speed is still too slow. Let me give you a hand. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. With a flick of his finger, 2 rays of golden light surged into Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan's bodies. It was the boundless law of heaven and earth and the source of life. After they merged into Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan's bodies, the aura around their bodies rose and became thicker and thicker, allowing them to cross the peak of the divine spirit realm and reach the true God realm in an instant. Furthermore, after breaking through to the true God realm, their breakthroughs did not stop. They only stopped when they reached the peak of the true God realm. If it were not for the fact that Ling Xiao was worried about their foundations becoming unstable if they broke through too quickly, it would not have been difficult for them to directly reach God King. How did our cultivation reach the peak of the true God realm? Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan took a deep breath and slowly woke up from their cultivation state. They opened their eyes and their eyes were filled with confusion. However, when the two of them turned around, they were instantly stunned. Ling Xiao was carrying Cici and standing in front of the two of them. There was a faint smile on his face and his eyes were filled with longing. Xiao, my Xiao, is that you? You're really back. Long Hanyan muttered to herself as she stared at Ling Xiao. Her eyes were filled with surprise. As she spoke, her eyes became blurry and 2 streams of tears flowed down her cheeks silently. Mother, I'm unfilial. I'm back. Ling Xiao said slowly. My Xiao, I've missed you so much. Long Hanyan could not hold it in any longer. She rushed forward and hugged Ling Xiao. The tears in her eyes flowed down uncontrollably and Ling Xiao's clothes were wet. It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back. Ling Zhen smiled faintly. He looked very calm, but his trembling hands betrayed him. Ling Zhen's eyes were slightly red and he simply turned his head away. Father, mother. I've only been gone for 100 years, but it feels like I've been gone for a long time. I missed you guys too, I really missed you guys. Ling Xiao gently hugged Long Hanyan and felt an incomparable warmth in his heart. There was a feeling called happiness that surged in his heart, making him feel as if he was intoxicated. After a long while, Ling Xiao, Ling Zhen, and Long Hanyan calmed down and began to tell Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan about his experiences over the past 100 years. Even though Ling Xiao only gave a general description and omitted many specific details, it still made Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan's hearts tremble as they listened. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. They did not expect that Ling Xiao had experienced so many things and suffered so much in just 100 years. Especially when they heard that Ling Xiao had caused the wordless heavenly book to explode, Long Hanyan's face turned pale and Ling Zhen's eyes were filled with anger. If it were not for Ling Xiao's great fortune, they would not have seen Ling Xiao again today. However, Ling Zhen and Long Hanyan were also extremely proud. Their son was the chosen one and now had the cultivation of a great sage. His strength was unfathomable and he could dominate the life and death of a world. Xiao, it's been hard on you all these years. Long Hanyan's eyes were filled with worry. To be able to consecutively break through several major realms in a short 100 years, and even surpass the Divine Tao and step onto the path of the Supreme Divine Tao, in addition to countless opportunities and fortunes, it also required a firm will and confidence. Long Hanyan found it hard to imagine how Ling Xiao had survived all these years. Mother, brother is so powerful. Even that big bad Jun Tiancheng was captured by brother. I also want to cultivate well so that I can protect all of you with brother in the future. Cece blinked her big eyes and said. Her eyes were extremely clear, but there was a trace of determination in them. Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo's deaths are not to be regretted. But Ling Xiao, have you thought about how you are going to face the realm of the gods? Although your cultivation is not bad, it's not easy to defeat those immortal sanctuaries. Ling Zhen looked at Ling Xiao seriously and said. Father, I know. So I won't act rashly. I will accumulate my strength until the day I can sweep across the realm of the gods. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and there was a dazzling gleam in his eyes. Ling Xiao also understood that the 12 immortal sanctuaries had the foundation of the 12 sky arts. There were also countless Supreme Emperor weapons and trump cards in their sections. It was not easy to defeat them. However, Ling Xiao had enough patience to wait. Moreover, he had the heaven prison. When the time came, he would kill his way back to the realm of the gods. Chapter 2485. The night in the world of immortals was quiet and tranquil. In the sky, the full moon was bright and flawless. The moonlight poured down like water and sprinkled on the forbidden grounds at the back of the mountain. It seemed to be dyed with a layer of silver halo, looking mysterious and holy. Under the path understanding tree, a bonfire was burning fiercely. A white tiger was pierced through its body and hung on the bonfire to be barbecued. It was the white tiger that chased after Cece during the day. At this moment, it had become everyone's food. It emitted a rich aroma that stimulated everyone's appetite. A stone table was filled with all kinds of rare fruits and delicacies. Ling Xiao, Ling Zhen, Long Hanyan, Long Lai, Nangong Xian, Long Outyan, and the others sat around the stone table, toasting each other. The atmosphere was very pleasant. Ling Xiao took out the wine that was prepared in the heaven prison court. It was brewed with divine medicine. Not only was the wine fragrant, but it also contained extremely pure energy. It was very beneficial to everyone's cultivation. Long Outyan's eyes lit up when he saw the wine that Ling Xiao brought out. He poured out a glass of wine that looked like it was made of jade. It looked translucent and sparkled. Long Outyan couldn't wait to finish it in one gulp. As the wine entered his stomach, a strong energy rose up. It flowed through Long Outyan's body like flames. He couldn't help but blush as he let out a strange cry. Boom! A bright light spurted out from Long Outyan's mouth. It was as bright as a divine cloud. This cup of wine is equivalent to 10 years of your cultivation. Don't waste it. Ling Xiao said with a smile. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, Long Outyin quickly shut his mouth and began to use his divine technique to refine the majestic energy in the cup of wine. Bright light surrounded his body. Blood qi rose and a violent energy flowed in his body. It took him a while to completely refine it. When everyone saw Long Outyin's appearance, they all understood the value of the wine. They didn't dare to drink it like Long Outyin. They all drank it in small sips. However, their faces were still red and their bodies were surging with light. I want to drink too. Nan Nan's eyes sparkled when she saw the wine that Ling Xiao had brought out. She immediately picked up a wine jar and gulped it down in one gulp. She looked even more heroic than Long Outyin. Everyone was surprised to find that Nan Nan was completely fine after drinking the first jug of wine. She then grabbed the second jug. Brother, Cici wants to drink too. Cici looked like a little princess. She was wearing a cute little dress, and her skin was as white as snow. Her beautiful big eyes blinked, and her long eyelashes fluttered. Her eyes were filled with a pitiful expression. Cici, your cultivation is not high enough. You'll get drunk if you drink this wine. Ling Xiao patted Cici's head affectionately. But in the end, he couldn't dissuade Cici. He could only take a few drops of wine and let Cici drink it. Cici's face instantly flushed red. Her eyes were a little dazed. She exclaimed that it was spicy and jumped up, making everyone laugh. Ling Xiao's return was a joyous occasion for the entire Changsun sect. The entire Changsun sect was celebrating. Many disciples were celebrating in various places of the Changsun sect. All kinds of rare fruits, wine, and delicacies were distributed. Many disciples were incomparably excited. As for the group of people closest to Ling Xiao, they were celebrating in the forbidden area at the back of the mountain. It was rather quiet. Everyone toasted each other, and their eyes were shining with joy. They told Ling Xiao about the development of the God of War world in the past 100 years. They told Ling Xiao how the Changsun sect became the ruler of the God of War world. However, compared to the peace of the God of War world, Ling Xiao's experience was more tumultuous. Even though Ling Xiao chose to tell everyone about his experience in the God of War world, it still made everyone exclaim. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao's cultivation was already in the Great Saint realm. To everyone, this was like a dream. They couldn't believe it. In just 100 years, Ling Xiao had reached a realm that others wouldn't be able to reach in 10,000 years. Even in the God of War world, a great saint was considered a peerless expert. In addition to being shocked, they were more proud in their hearts. After all, Ling Xiao was the founder of the Changsun sect. He was everyone's pride and hope. Xiao, it's been hard on you all these years. Long Hanyan looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of pity and love. She deeply understood that Ling Xiao must have suffered a lot over the years to be able to reach his current level of cultivation. He must have experienced a life and death crisis that no one could imagine. However, Ling Xiao just smiled and didn't mention any of these. Why don't I see Luo Luo, Moon God, and Phoenix Girl? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. His old friends from the Changsun sect were all there, but Luo Luo, Moon God, and Phoenix Girl were missing. Luo Luo. Luo Luo is missing. After you went to the God of War world, we found that Luo Luo suddenly disappeared. After that, we searched the entire God of War world, but we couldn't find any trace of Luo Luo. However, someone saw that Luo Luo seemed to have been taken away by the Bone Dragon and Bone Phoenix. Long Hanyan said with a bitter smile. Luo Luo is missing. A dragon and phoenix pulling a coffin? Ling Xiao was shocked. Luo Luo's identity was incomparably mysterious. Zhu Ganglai once guessed that Xue Wei and Luo Luo were the same person, and they were both the daughters of the Scarlet Dragon War God. However, Ling Xiao always felt that Luo Luo's identity wasn't that simple. However, with his cultivation level at that time, he couldn't see anything. A dragon and phoenix pulling a coffin and Yin soldiers opening a path were scenes that Ling Xiao had seen several times in the God of War world. Now, Luo Luo was following the giant bronze coffin. What was the connection? Ling Xiao guessed in his heart. Luo Luo's identity was shrouded in a layer of fog. As for Moon God and Phoenix Girl, they stepped into the Universe River after breaking through to the Divine Spirit Realm a few decades ago. They said that they wanted to leave the God of War world through the Universe River and find the path to the God of War world and the Demon world. I don't know where they are now. Long Hanyan said slowly. Has he stepped into the Universe River? They should have gone to other worlds and not the God of War world. Maybe we can meet again in the future if fate wills it. Ling Xiao nodded. He remembered that Zhao Riqian went to the God of War world through the Universe River. The Universe River was incomparably mysterious and flowed through various worlds. Moon God and Phoenix Girl must have gone to other worlds. Speaking of which, Ling Xiao still felt guilty towards the Moon Goddess and the Phoenix Lady. He was very clear about their feelings for him. They were even willing to die for him. They had done many things silently, but he had no choice but to let them down. Chapter 2486. Seeing that Ling Xiao was in low spirits, Long Outyin suddenly changed the topic. Cousin, now that you've exposed your identity, I'm afraid that the powerful beings from the God world and Demon world will soon know that you're still alive, right? I think we should leave the War God world as soon as possible. Otherwise, when those powerful beings arrive, I'm afraid it will be even more dangerous. Long Outyan's words were also what everyone was thinking. Ling Zhen, Nangong Xian, and the rest nodded their heads. In the God world, Ling Xiao could be said to be the enemy of the entire world. In addition, he was the chosen one in the Heaven's Choice Convention and possessed the Heaven's Path Providence, making him a delicious piece of cake in the eyes of countless people. Previously, he had self-destructed the wordless heavenly book, so it was fine if he died. But now that the news of him being alive had spread, it would probably cause those who coveted him to be restless. I want them to know that I'm still alive. If they can send a Sage King to kill me, that would be the best. Moreover, I'm sure that they will definitely send a Sage King down. The temptation of being the chosen one is not something that everyone can resist. Ling Xiao sneered, revealing a trace of sharpness in his eyes. This was also the reason why he had said those words to everyone. Otherwise, with Ling Xiao's cultivation, he could completely kill all the divine path and half-saints in the War God world. Don't worry. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm confident that they won't be able to return. As for you all, it's indeed too dangerous to stay here. After today, I will open the passage to the Heaven Prison and send all of you there. That will be our headquarters in the future. Furthermore, it will be impregnable there. No one can threaten you. Ling Xiao saw the worry in Ling Zhen, Long Outyan, and the rest's eyes and spoke out to comfort them. He understood their worries. After all, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only in the Great Saint realm. If the God world and Demon world sent a Sage King down, it would be difficult for Ling Xiao to be their opponent. However, Ling Xiao did not take the Sage King realm expert seriously at all. Even a Sage King could be killed. The Heaven Prison. Cousin, you're really too powerful. No one would have thought that you would actually obtain the inheritance of the Heaven Prison Great Emperor and become the master of the Heaven Prison. Now, our Changsun sect no longer has to worry. Long Outyan looked at Ling Xiao with admiration. When Ling Xiao told them that he had become the lord of the Heaven Prison realm, they all felt like they were dreaming. It felt unreal. Even if the current Heaven Prison Court had been isolated from other worlds for billions of years, it was still a greater thousand world. It was a greater thousand world like the God realm, Demon realm, and Demon realm. It had complete heavenly Tao laws and was a place where Saint King realm cultivators existed. Ling Xiao had become the master of the Heaven Prison realm. Just like the great ancient emperors, he had the power of a complete world. That's right. Perhaps you have already noticed that the current War God world is dozens of times larger than it was 100 years ago. The immeasurable calamity is about to arrive. Countless worlds will be destroyed, recombined, and reborn, forming a new source continent. All the worlds in the universe will be shattered, and only the eternal realm will remain. At that time, I'm afraid countless peerless geniuses will appear. This is a golden age, but also an incomparably cruel era. If we don't have enough strength to protect ourselves, we can only become weaklings who are at the mercy of others. Ling Xiao sighed softly before downing the cup of wine in one gulp. After hearing Ling Xiao's words, everyone felt a little dignified. They felt an immense pressure, but at the same time, their hearts were filled with fighting spirit. The immeasurable calamity was both a challenge and an opportunity. At that time, no living being could escape fast enough. They must be strong enough to protect the people they cared about. Master, don't worry. We will not embarrass you. When we reach the heaven prison realm, we will work hard to cultivate and become stronger as soon as possible. Mu Linfeng and the other 6 said seriously. Hee, why are you talking about such a heavy topic? Come, let's drink. Today is the day to celebrate the return of cousin. Don't think too much. Let's drink. I believe that the world will be ours in the future. Long Outyen laughed, breaking the somewhat oppressive atmosphere. He raised his cup and laughed at everyone. Everyone smiled as they raised their cups and downed the wine in one gulp. The tree of path understanding was rooted in the ground. Its trunk was like a divine pillar that reached the sky. The crown of the tree covered the sky and the sun. The green leaves swayed with the breeze, making crisp and pleasant sounds like wind chimes. In the quiet night, everyone toasted each other, filled with joy and excitement. Everyone began to get drunk. Even Ling Xiao suppressed his cultivation base, allowing the wine to numb his nerves. He began to get drunk. His eyes were blurred. He seemed to see Jin Se and Shui Wei, meeting them in his dream. Ling Xiao was drunk and fell into a state of deep sleep. He was extremely relaxed. He only wanted to get drunk and completely relax his body. He wanted to experience happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy. He wanted to experience the most complicated and truest emotions in the world. The bright moonlight shone on Ling Xiao's body. A beautiful arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. He had a pure smile like a child as he fell asleep. The next day, Ling Xiao woke up from a deep sleep and felt refreshed all over. His state of mind had become extremely peaceful. His cultivation of the Supreme Saint Plane had improved a lot. The source root of the holy path seemed to have taken root in the void, spreading across the heavens and myriad realms, absorbing energy and transforming into a towering tree. He felt more relaxed than he had ever felt before. Cousin, the descending divine path cultivators have sent word that they want to come and see you. Long Outyen came before Ling Xiao and brought a message. Want to see me? Aren't they afraid that I'll kill them all? Very good, they have guts. Then let's see them. Spread the word that I'll be waiting for them above the sea of reincarnation before sunset. If anyone dares to not come, then they don't have to come. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, a glimmer of light in his eyes. Although the descending divine path cultivators did not take the initiative to attack the Changxing sect, Ling Xiao believed that they must have added fuel to the fire behind the scenes. However, Jun Tiancheng was only someone they had pushed out on the surface. Although he did not know why they wanted to see him, Ling Xiao was not particularly concerned. These people were only people he had left behind to pass on the message. They were not worth mentioning like ants. All right. Long Outyen chuckled. He was feeling proud and elated. He could imagine the apprehension and fear of those divine path cultivators. After all, even Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo had fallen in the hands of Ling Xiao. In addition to Ling Xiao's fierce reputation in the divine world, if they dared to not come and see Ling Xiao, that would be really gutsy. Even if they did not want to come, they could only brace themselves and come. Long Outyen's words spread across the entire war god world very quickly, informing everyone in the war god world that Ling Xiao wanted to meet the numerous divine path cultivators before sunset. The entire war god world was in an uproar. They were all secretly guessing, could it be that Ling Xiao wanted to go on a killing spree and kill off all those divine path cultivators? Many people who were curious in their hearts headed to the sea of reincarnation one after another, wanting to see what would happen exactly. In the world of immortals, under the witness of numerous Chongqing sect disciples, Jun Tiancheng and Jun Mo were skinned alive. In the end, their bones were ground into ashes and their souls scattered. It could be considered as dispelling the anger and hatred in the hearts of numerous disciples. Chapter 2487. Kacha. Above the sky of the world of immortals, a vast vortex appeared. Blazing light gushed down, exuding a vast and mysterious spacetime fluctuation, as if it was leading to a foreign world. Ling Xiao stood in the sky, bathed in light, looking like an invincible emperor, majestic and mysterious, making people want to kneel down and worship him. It's Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao. Greetings, Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao, we hope that Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao will protect our family. Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao has appeared, is he going to bring us up to the heavens? After seeing Ling Xiao, the billions of living beings in the world of immortals were filled with fanaticism and worship as they knelt down. Even the disciples of the immortals were extremely excited, their hearts filled with pride and worship. This is Ancestor Ling Xiao. They had heard that Ancestor Ling Xiao was going to bring them out of the world of war and into the boundless world of gods. This could be said to be bringing the immortals to the heavens, how could they not be excited? At this moment, Ling Xiao could feel that the power of faith in the void had condensed into a golden ocean, and it began to boil violently. The power of faith surged violently, and it actually increased by 30% in an instant. Because he had opened the passage to the world of immortals and revealed his true body, the power of faith that he had accumulated for hundreds of years had increased by 30%, which made Ling Xiao incomparably shocked. It seemed like he really needed to study the power of faith properly. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, 3 powerful figures flew out from the passage in the void. Their bodies were filled with sage aura, and they majestically descended into the world of immortals. Greetings, Master. After the 3 powerful figures saw Ling Xiao, they immediately knelt down, their faces filled with incomparable respect. They were Hu Feng, Purple Thunder Prince, and Huge Axe. Even the sage's cousin servant. This is too terrifying. Long Outyen's eyes widened, his eyes filled with incomparable shock. Although Ling Xiao had told everyone that he had become the master of the world of immortals, no one knew that Ling Xiao was not only the master of the world of immortals in name, but he had completely controlled the world of immortals. Even the 10 great saint kings were Ling Xiao's servants. Ancestor Ling Xiao is really too strong. It seems like even when we are in the heavenly prison world, we have nothing to worry about. Nangong Xian sighed emotionally. Hu Feng, Purple Lei, Giant Axe, these are my friends and family in the Changsun sect. Bring them to the Ling Xiao imperial court in the heaven prison realm. Protect them well, no mistakes. Ling Xiao said calmly. Don't worry, Master. We will definitely protect them well. Hu Feng and the other 2 felt a chill in their hearts as they respectfully nodded their heads. At the same time, they were also somewhat excited. Ling Xiao had given such an important task to the 3 of them. It looked like he had high hopes for the 3 of them. As long as they worked hard, even if the cultivation of the 10 great saint kings was higher than theirs, their position in Ling Xiao's heart would definitely not be as high as theirs. Everyone, please follow me to the heaven prison realm. You guys still don't know, right? Master is the Lord of the Heaven Prison Realm, the one who founded the Ling Xiao Celestial Court, the Heavenly Emperor of the entire Heaven Prison Realm. Hu Feng smiled and said to Long Outyen, Nangong Xian, and the rest in a friendly manner. Seeing a saint being so friendly and even a little flattering, Long Outyen, Nangong Xian and the rest looked at each other and felt that it was extremely surreal. Master, Madam, and Miss, my name is Giant Axe. I will escort you to the Heaven Prison Realm. Giant Axe came in front of Ling Zhen, Long Hanyan, and Ling Sisi and said with an honest smile. Previously, he had overheard everyone's conversation and very quickly confirmed the relationship between Ling Zhen, Long Hanyan, Ling Sisi, and Ling Xiao. After all, Ling Sisi and Ling Xiao looked very similar, so she was the first to run up to him. This bootlicker. Hu Feng and Purple Lei young master were regretting it as they cursed in their hearts. They did not expect that the honest-looking giant axe would beat them to it. Not only the people of the Changsun sect, but also the entire Changsun sect. I will leave this place to the three of you. Ling Xiao said to Hu Feng and the other two. Swoosh! Light flashed in Ling Xiao's palm, and in an instant, the vast power of faith that filled the sky was caught in his palm. Then, he temporarily stored it in his small world. Master, don't worry. Everyone here will be safe. Hu Feng and the other two said to Ling Xiao while patting their chests. Ling Xiao nodded and then said a few words to Ling Zhen, Long Outyen, and the rest. He was ready to leave the Changsun sect and head to the Reincarnation Sea. Originally, Long Outyen wanted to follow Ling Xiao and take advantage of Ling Xiao's power to see how those divine kings and half-saints who were usually high and mighty acted when they saw Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao rejected him and he could only regretfully head to the heaven prison realm. After settling everything, Ling Xiao left with peace of mind. Above the Reincarnation Sea, dozens of powerful figures stood in the air, each of them exuding an extremely powerful fluctuation of the divine Tao, causing the surrounding void to tremble violently. Leading the group were 9 figures that were as bright as the sun. There were both men and women and they were all at least divine king realm. Especially the 2 white-haired old men, they were even more unfathomable and had reached the half-saint realm. These people were all experts from different realms who had descended upon the God of War's world. Originally, they were all high and mighty and regarded everyone as ants. The people of the God of War's world could not see them at all. However, today, they were all above the Reincarnation Sea. Their faces were filled with respect and anxiety as they waited for someone to appear. They were naturally the supreme Tao experts who had come to pay their respects to Ling Xiao. At this moment, there were many experts from the God of War's world around the Reincarnation Sea. Their eyes were filled with anticipation and curiosity. They wanted to know why these people were here. Could it be that they wanted to cause trouble for Ling Xiao? Rumble. At this moment, a bright light suddenly bloomed in the Reincarnation Sea. The sea water parted and a figure in white stepped out from the Reincarnation Sea and appeared in front of everyone. His white robe fluttered in the wind. His entire body was glowing and exuding a kind of divine aura. His eyes were deep and bright, like the starry sky above his head. Under the sunlight, it looked like it was cast in gold, exuding a dazzling golden glow. No one dared to look at it directly. Greetings to Lord Ling Xiao. Chapter 2488. If I'm not mistaken, you should have sent the news back to the divine realm and the demon realm, right? Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Ling Xiao said flatly, and his voice spread throughout the sea of reincarnation. The 2 half-saints and 7 supreme beings standing in front of Ling Xiao were all at the 9th revolution half-saints. One was from the demon realm, and the other was from the divine realm. The 7 supreme beings were also experts from various macro worlds. Although they appeared at the same time, they were strangely at peace under Ling Xiao's pressure. Otherwise, when people from the divine realm and the demon realm met, it would always be a life-and-death battle. Lord Ling Xiao, I'm Hua Xianling, an elder of the Chinese. I'm here today to discuss something with Lord Ling Xiao on behalf of my Saint King ancestor. The half-step sage of the divinity world was dressed in white. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being. His face was clear and pure. He looked at Ling Xiao calmly. There wasn't the slightest hint of fear in his eyes. What a coincidence! Lord Ling Xiao, I'm Bo Lin, a member of the Bo Sun imperial family in the demon realm. I'm here today to discuss something with Lord Ling Xiao on behalf of my emperor. The eyes of the black-robed half-saint from the devil world flashed as he spoke slowly. What's the matter? Ling Xiao asked flatly. Lord Ling Xiao. You have the fortune of the heavenly Tao, and you are the chosen one. You are the hope of the human race. Earlier, the 9 imperial gates and the Chinese were deceived by the villains. That is why they offended you. Now, the Chinese and the 9 imperial gates are preparing to rebuild the heavenly court. As long as you're willing to join us, you'll be the future lord of the heavenly court. My ancestor is very sincere, and the Saint King ancestor of the 9 imperial gates has also agreed. As long as you agree, you'll be able to bury the hatchet with the 9 imperial gates and the Chinese, revitalize the heavenly court, and create an immortal foundation for the human clan. Isn't that great? Hua Xianling smiled at Ling Xiao. He was full of confidence, as if Ling Xiao would definitely agree to his conditions. Hiss! The Lord of the Heavenly Court. Isn't that the Heavenly Emperor respected by all worlds? Hua Xianling didn't hide his words from anyone. The experts from the war god world couldn't help but tremble as they sucked in a breath of cold air. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They did not expect Hua Xianling to offer such a tempting offer. This heaven-devouring Supreme Ling Xiao had ascended to the divine world for less than 100 years, and he already had such a high status. Originally, everyone only thought that Ling Xiao was powerful and unfathomable. However, after hearing Hua Xuanling's words, they had a better understanding of Ling Xiao's strength. The master of the heavenly court. What a great temptation! Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Even Nan Nan, who was on his shoulder, had a strange look in her eyes. To put it nicely, he was the master of the heavenly court. To put it bluntly, he was just a puppet set up by the 9 imperial gates and the Chinese. Where did they get the confidence that Ling Xiao would agree to their conditions? If they knew that Ling Xiao was already the lord of the heaven prison realm and had re-established the heaven court in the heaven prison realm, what kind of expression would they have? Nan Nan was looking forward to it. Lord Ling Xiao. The human race of the god realm has long fallen. They are all a bunch of hypocrites. They are not the same as the heavenly emperor of the past. They have no backbone at all. If it were not for them, you would not have been hunted down by them and even detonated the wordless heavenly book. Our imperial lord said that if you are willing to join our Bo Sun imperial clan, you will be the only imperial prince of our Bo Sun imperial clan. Our imperial lord will personally change your blood and guarantee that you will be able to become a saint king within 100 years, an imperial emperor within 1,000 years, and a great monarch within 10,000 years. Bo Lin sneered and looked at Hua Xianling with disdain. He then said sincerely to Ling Xiao. Bo Lin's conditions shocked the people from the war god world even more. Great Emperor Realm. The legendary Great Emperor could sweep across the 8 wastelands and suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths. He was invincible and was the strongest under the heavenly Tao. He was immortal and eternal. In order to rope Ling Xiao in, the demon world was willing to pay such a huge price to guarantee that Ling Xiao could become a great emperor in 10,000 years. Bolin was very confident in the conditions he had offered. After all, there was no deep hatred between the demon world and Ling Xiao. They just had different standpoints. However, in front of those peerless experts, all of these were just illusions and fleeting clouds. Only strength was real and the only thing that mattered. Ridiculous. The Bo Sun imperial clan has already declined. Now, the strongest expert in the clan is just an emperor who is at death's door. A mere emperor dares to guarantee that Lord Ling Xiao will become a great emperor in 10,000 years? What a joke! Hua Xianling sneered. Our emperor's guarantee is not enough. What if we add the guarantee of the 3 demon emperors? Bo Lin smiled faintly. What? Hua Xuanling's face changed. The 3 demon emperors of the demon world, the undying demon emperor, the original demon emperor, and the blood prison demon emperor were all supreme great emperors who were confirmed to be alive. Especially the undying demon emperor, it was said that he had lived for a few eras and his strength was unfathomable. If they added the guarantee of the 3 demon emperors, it might be true that Ling Xiao would become a great emperor in 10,000 years. However, Ling Xiao had also killed many experts of the demon race in the Heaven's Choice Convention, especially several imperial princes. Not only did the 3 demon emperors not seek revenge from Ling Xiao, but they also wanted to help Ling Xiao. How was this possible? However, Hua Xianling had to believe it. For the 3 demon emperors of the demon world, children were nothing. With their infinite lifespan, it was not difficult for them to have children. On the other hand, Ling Xiao, the chosen one, was worth it for them to rope him in at all costs. After hearing Hua Xianling and Bo Lin's words, the 7 supreme beings' eyes flickered and revealed different expressions. They did not expect Hua Xianling and Bo Lin to reveal their conditions without hiding anything. They did not even hide it from the experts of the other worlds. It was obvious that they did not take them seriously at all. Lord Ling Xiao, the people of the demon world are a group of insidious and cunning people. You can't believe their words at all. We have shown our utmost sincerity. As long as you agree, you will be the future master of the heavenly court. At that time, with the help of the 9 imperial gates and the vast resources of the Hua race, it is not impossible for you to become a great emperor. Hua Xianling said seriously to Ling Xiao. Lord Ling Xiao, we are full of sincerity. With the guarantee of the 3 demon emperors, you will be the future 4th demon emperor of the demon world. Bo Lin smiled faintly. Chapter 2489. After all, whether it was Hua Xianling or Bo Lin's conditions, they were irresistible and unattainable. However, they were now placed in front of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao, it seems like these guys aren't here to ask for forgiveness because they are afraid of you. They have ulterior motives. I think they should all die. Nan Nan, who was lying on Ling Xiao's shoulder, curled her lips and sneered. Ling Xiao's gaze fell on Hua Xianling and Bo Lin. His gaze was deep and calm as if it contained a power that could see through people's hearts. Hua Xianling and Bo Lin felt extremely pressured. I originally thought that you guys were here to ask for forgiveness and beg me to spare your lives. Perhaps because you guys didn't attack the Changsun sect, I wouldn't bother to attack you guys. However, I didn't expect that you guys are here to negotiate with me. How interesting. Ling Xiao said flatly with a hint of a smile in his eyes. However, what right do you have to negotiate with me? The master of the heavenly court? The future demon emperor? You can fool children with such nonsense. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? At the end of his sentence, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of sharpness. Rumble. The surrounding void seemed to be affected by Ling Xiao's aura. In an instant, it rumbled and trembled. The reincarnation sea was turbulent and huge waves rose. Hua Xianling and Bo Lin's faces changed. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to reject them without even thinking about it. How could Ling Xiao not be tempted by such tempting conditions? Ling Xiao, are you determined to be enemies with the Hua race and the 9 imperial gates? You should know that the consequences are not something you can bear. Hua Xuanling's eyes flashed as he looked directly at Ling Xiao. There was a hint of threat in his words. He, Ling Xiao, you really don't know what's good for you. Those who dare to reject my emperor and the 3 demon emperors are already dead. You don't want the opportunity to rule the world. Instead, you want to be a dead man. How stupid. Bo Lin sneered. He no longer had any respect for Ling Xiao. Are you finally going to reveal your true intentions? I'm really curious. How are you ants going to deal with me? Ling Xiao laughed coldly, his eyes filled with mockery. From the very beginning, he had felt that something was wrong. Hua Xianling and Bo Lin were too calm. They were actually negotiating with him as if they were equals. If Ling Xiao's guess was correct, the 2 of them should have come with the decree of the celestial world and the devil world. If Ling Xiao agreed, then so be it. If he didn't, then they would kill him directly. Ling Xiao, you are the chosen one. Since you don't agree to our terms, you will not be able to return to the godly realm alive. You're just a saint, and you don't even have the wordless heavenly book. You're just an ant in the eyes of my patriarch. Die. Hua Xianling said expressionlessly. His eyes suddenly revealed an incomparably crazy and excited killing intent. The thought of being able to kill the chosen one, the future great emperor, made Hua Xianling so excited that he almost groaned. Crack. An ancient jade in Hua Xuanling's palm was suddenly crushed by him. Dazzling and vast divine light bloomed, and chaotic mist filled the air. A young figure appeared in the void, exuding an insufferably mighty aura. The young figure was shrouded in the chaotic mist, and his face could not be seen clearly. However, his eyes were extremely cold, like a sword chi that pierced the endless world. A holy king avatar. It seems that in order to deal with me, the Chinese have really put in a lot of effort. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and there was a trace of mockery in his eyes. He could obviously tell that the young figure in the sky was not the real body, but the clone of a saint king. It could not exist for too long, but it could possess most of the battle prowess of a saint king for a short period of time. How dare you be so stubborn in the face of death? Kill him. Hua Xianling pointed at Ling Xiao and sneered. Crack. The Holy King Avatar took a step forward in an instant, as if he had crossed the endless world, and charged towards Ling Xiao. The Divine War World seemed to be unable to withstand the power of the Holy King Avatar. The surrounding void shattered, and the entire Divine War World was shaking. There was a terrifying wave of destruction. You want to kill me with a mere Holy King Avatar? It seems that the Chinese really look down on me. Ling Xiao shook his head. Where is Fan Tian? Ling Xiao raised his head and looked into the depths of the firmament. Crack. The firmament suddenly shattered, and an incomparably blazing divine light bloomed, forming a vast void vortex. A terrifying figure stepped out of the vortex. It looked like a mountain, holding up the world, and exuding a vast and terrifying aura. Rumble. After the figure appeared, a monstrous flame rose in an instant. It contained the power of Fan Tian, and it directly enveloped the Holy King Avatar. Bang! A huge fist descended from the sky. It was ferocious, domineering, and dignified. It directly smashed into the Saint King clone, blasting it into pieces. Then, it was enveloped by the true incinerating flames and was quickly refined into nothingness. What? Everyone was stunned. They felt their bodies trembling, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. The moment the Holy King Avatar appeared, everyone felt as if they were frozen, and there was no way for them to move at all. The power of the Holy King Avatar was beyond their imagination. It was as if the Holy King Avatar was an invincible great emperor. However, what they did not expect was that the seemingly incomparably powerful Holy King Avatar would be shattered by a single punch, as if it had no power to resist. Especially Hua Xianling, who was trembling all over, and his face was pale. His eyes were filled with incomparable fear, and his voice was unconsciously trembling. Holy King. How could there be a Holy King in this world? Perhaps others did not know, but Hua Xianling instantly sensed the terror of the figure. This was the arrival of a real Holy King. In the sky, the Saint King was enveloped in flames, containing boundless power. Even the radiance of the sun was overshadowed by him. No one dared to raise their heads to look at him. They all knelt on the ground as they trembled. Fan Tian greets the master. After slapping the Holy King clone to death, the Holy King immediately knelt down respectfully in front of Ling Xiao. It was one of the 10 great Holy Kings of the heavenly prison realm, Holy King Fan Tian. At this moment, everyone was completely silent. The same sentence appeared in their minds at the same time. Fan Tian greets the master. Chapter 2490. Who was Ling Xiao? Everyone's hearts were filled with questions. It was hard for them to imagine why a Saint King would actually willingly call Ling Xiao master, especially those divine way experts. Every single one of them was trembling all over, and their eyes were filled with extreme fear. Hua Xianling felt as if he had fallen into an ice abyss. He felt as if countless slaps were coming at him, making his face burn. Ling Xiao's words and expression just now seemed to have turned into deep sarcasm. He was just negotiating with Ling Xiao on behalf of the Hua clan's Saint King old ancestor. He even summoned a Saint King clone to kill Ling Xiao after the negotiation failed. However, he did not expect Ling Xiao to summon a Saint King in the blink of an eye and smash the Saint King clone into pieces. A Saint King as a servant? How? How is this possible? Bo Lin also widened his eyes in disbelief. A Saint King was the king of the Saint Tao, standing at the peak of the Saint Tao. He was considered a peerless expert in the heavens and myriad worlds. Without the great emperors and imperial emperors, a Saint King was the absolute ruler. Even an imperial emperor would find it difficult to make a Saint King his servant. Perhaps only a supreme great emperor could make a Saint King his servant. Bo Lin naturally had the means given to him by the Devil Realm, allowing him to kill Ling Xiao at the right time. He was still waiting for Hua Xianling to make a move so that he could reap the benefits. However, after seeing the appearance of Saint King Fenchen, all the thoughts in his mind disappeared completely, leaving only deep fear. Above the reincarnation sea, Ling Xiao stood in the air as Saint King Fenchen bowed respectfully in front of him. Everyone was suppressed by Saint King Fenchen's terrifying saint aura and knelt on the ground, trembling like ants. "Get up!" Ling Xiao said faintly. Saint King Fenchen stood up and consciously stood behind Ling Xiao, playing the role of a loyal guard. He looked coldly at Hua Xianling, Bo Lin, and the others in front of him. "Master, do you want me to kill all these ants?" Saint King Fenchen asked. In his opinion, these people who were not even in the saint realm were naturally a group of weak ants, even worse than ants. "Not for now. These are all our bait. If we kill them, how can we catch a big fish?" Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his gaze incomparably cold. He didn't expect the celestial realm and the devil realm to be so decisive. After learning that he was still alive, they immediately tried to coerce him. If that didn't work, they directly killed him. If Ling Xiao was really just an ordinary saint, he would definitely die in the face of the Holy King's clone. However, the celestial world and the devil world had underestimated his cultivation, and they had also underestimated the enormous forces under him. Catch a big fish? Could it be that he wants to? Both Hua Xianling and Bo Lin were shocked. Their eyes revealed a trace of disbelief and horror, and they couldn't help but gasp. Ling Xiao did not even care about a mere clone of a holy king. Could it be that Ling Xiao still wanted to deal with a real holy king? Crazy. He was really crazy. Ling Xiao, go to hell. Bo Lin's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of crazy killing intent. A bright light bloomed in his palm. In an instant, it expanded in the void, turned into a 7-colored saber light, and slashed down toward Ling Xiao. The saber light was incomparably sharp, containing a mighty extreme emperor's aura. It was as if the saber light was the only thing left in the world. It sealed everything, and even Saint King Fenchen became a little dim under this saber. The full power attack of an extreme emperor weapon? The devil realm really thinks highly of me, Ling Xiao. But do you think you can send the news back to the devil realm with just this saber? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, revealing a trace of surprise. This was the full power attack of an extreme emperor weapon. It contained a vast amount of extreme emperor's aura. Facing this saber, even Saint King Fenchen's eyes were a little serious. In an instant, the terrifying holy aura around his body rose, and he faced the saber. However, Ling Xiao knew that the reason why Bo Lin activated the attack of an extreme emperor weapon was not to kill him, but to break the seal that Ling Xiao had set up and send the news back to the devil realm. Although Bo Lin felt that Ling Xiao's so-called catching a big fish was crazy, and he found it hard to believe, after seeing Ling Xiao's eyes, he suddenly had a feeling that Ling Xiao really had the power to kill a holy king. Bo Lin knew that he was going to die, but as a member of the Bo Sun imperial clan, he couldn't die for nothing. He had to send the news back to the devil realm. Otherwise, he would be a sinner of the Bo Sun imperial clan. Rumble. The vast 7-colored saber light was incomparably sharp. It contained an indestructible power, and it seemed to instantly break the barrier set up by Saint King Fenchen. However, Bo Lin forgot that the vast vortex still existed in the void. At this moment, several incomparably powerful auras rushed out from it. In an instant, they turned into 9 figures, all of them emitting terrifying energy fluctuations. They directly set up an incomparably vast barrier, enveloping the entire war god's world. Kacha. Blazing lightning rose. Behind Ling Xiao, chaotic light filled the air. Vaguely, an ancient and mysterious steel appeared. It seemed to be able to connect the heavens and the earth. It contained a majestic and terrifying aura. It was like a huge prison, enveloping the entire war god's world. Heavenly Might Prison Steel. After the Heavenly Might Prison Steel appeared, the seven-colored saber light seemed to have its energy sucked out. It hummed and trembled, losing all its luster. Then, it was blown apart by Saint King Fenshin's fist. You want to send the news back to the Devil Realm? Unfortunately, you're still too weak. Ling Xiao said indifferently as he looked at Bo Lin. Greetings, Master. The 9 figures also bowed respectfully to Ling Xiao. The other 9 Saint Kings of the Heavenly Prison Realm had also arrived. 10 Saint Kings. This is impossible. Bo Lin roared crazily. His body trembled, and his face was extremely pale. He instantly revealed an incomparably desperate look. The 9 figures with terrifying auras in the void were actually the same as Saint King Fenshin. They were all peerless experts of the Saint King realm. It turned out that Ling Xiao actually had 10 Saint Kings as servants. And that Heavenly Might Prison Steel made Bo Lin's heart tremble. Although Ling Xiao did not have the wordless Heavenly Book, another Extreme Dao Emperor weapon appeared in his hand. How many trump cards did Ling Xiao have? What kind of existence did the Chinese provoke? Hua Xuanling's eyes were also filled with shock, fear, unwillingness, and regret. He suddenly felt that the Chinese had made an unimaginable mistake by provoking Ling Xiao. This mistake was even enough to destroy the entire Chinese. Chapter 2491. The 10 great sage kings stood in the air, exuding a mighty sage aura. They were like 10 bright suns, illuminating the entire war god's realm. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao could make the 10 great sage kings submit to him? Hua Xianling and Bo Lin's conspiracy was a joke in front of absolute power. At this moment, above the reincarnation sea, Ling Xiao's robe fluttered in the wind. His face was calm and he exuded an ethereal temperament, as if he was a great emperor. Everyone, including Hua Xianling, Bo Lin, and all the experts of the war god's realm, bowed their heads. Their eyes were filled with horror. Especially Hua Xianling and Bo Lin. Death was not what scared them the most. What scared them the most was that they seemed to see a future great emperor in Ling Xiao. He was soaring into the sky with an unstoppable momentum. The great emperors of ancient times could attain the great emperor realm. All of them had stepped on countless corpses and walked through mountains of corpses and seas of blood to reach the supreme god realm. Especially the heavenly emperor at the beginning of the human race era. Although he was known as the most dazzling genius and peerless expert in the history of the human race, he dominated the universe and even made the other great emperors not dare to compete with him. He also used his peerless strength to carve out a path to the supreme god realm and the light and glory of the human race. Ling Xiao was the chosen one of this era. He had the heavenly luck, but his cultivation was not strong and he did not have a strong background. Naturally, countless people coveted him. In their opinion, before the chosen one grew up, he was just a slightly stronger genius. There was no need to worry about him at all. They even wanted to replace Ling Xiao and seize the providence of the heavenly Tao on him, making themselves the chosen one of this era. However, Hua Xianling and Bo Lin suddenly realized that with the 10 great sage kings as his servants, Ling Xiao had the confidence to challenge any immortal sanctuary in the divine world. After all, even if the Hua clan was known to have a strong foundation, they did not have so many great sage kings. Does he want to use us as bait to lure the saint ruler ancestors of our 2 races into descending? Hua Xianling and Bo Lin quickly understood Ling Xiao's intention. Their faces became extremely pale, and there was even a trace of despair on their faces. If the great sage kings of the Hua clan and Bo Sun imperial clan really descended, they would probably die under the siege of the 10 great sage kings. Hua Xianling and Bo Lin were extremely anxious. They did not want to become sinners of their clans, but they had no other choice but to do so. The entire war god world had already been sealed by Ling Xiao. No information could be transmitted out. Fen Tian, I'm afraid that the war god world will completely disappear after today. However, I can't bear to see the living beings of the war god world die just like that. Ling Xiao's the 10 great sage kings. Yes, master. The 10 great sage kings bowed Emperor of Ling King. Sending the heavenly king heavenly king ding heaven's world to the war god's world was extremely taxing. However, the 10 great sage kings could easily perform the heaven and earth great shift. Kacha. With a wave of Ling Xiao's sleeve, the sky instantly shattered. The vast and huge void passage expanded by tens of thousands of times. Looking closely, it was as if a huge hole had appeared in the sky, revealing the vast universe. Rumble. With Fen Tian as the leader, the 10 great sage kings all performed their supreme superpowers. Vast light shrouded the entire war god's world. At this moment, the creatures of the war god's world, whether they were humans or beasts, were all enveloped in holy light. They slowly rose into the air and headed towards the vast void tunnel in the sky. What's going on? Where are we going? Why is my body not under my own control? What kind of great being is attacking us? Oh my God, could it be that the God of heaven is helping us to ascend? Everyone in the war god's world was trembling. Their eyes were filled with fear of the unknown. Each and every one of them became bewildered and nervous. Everyone in the war god's world, I am Ling Xiao, the lord of the Ling Xiao celestial court. Today, I will bring everyone from the war god's world to ascend to the divine world. Enter the Ling Xiao celestial court, attain the great Tao, and become immortal. Ling Xiao's voice was like the might of the heavens. It instantly spread throughout the war god's world, ringing in everyone's ears. What? Ling Xiao, is Lord Devouring Sky Supreme? He's going to bring us to ascend. After a brief moment of shock, the crowd immediately became ecstatic. Their eyes were filled with excitement, revealing their fanatical worship for Ling Xiao. Bringing the people of an entire world to ascend, is this Lord Ling Xiao's power? Ha ha ha. I knew it. Even the deity king was slapped to death by Lord Ling Xiao. Lord Ling Xiao is probably already the heavenly emperor of the divine world, ruling over thousands of worlds and immortal. I didn't expect Lord Ling Xiao to still remember us. I'm so touched. I've decided. From today onwards, Lord Ling Xiao is my faith. Anyone who goes against Lord Ling Xiao is my mortal enemy. Ascend with the red clouds. This is an unprecedented feat. Boundless merit, boundless merit. That's not Lord Ling Xiao. Didn't you hear? Lord Ling Xiao is now the lord of the Ling Xiao celestial court. That's Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao. Thank you, Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao. Thank you, Heavenly Emperor Ling Xiao. Everyone's voices were like a storm, ringing throughout the war god's world. At this moment, Ling Xiao stood in the sky above the war god's world. He saw the endless power of faith converging towards him. In an instant, it was like a dazzling golden cloud, condensing into a solid light, lingering around Ling Xiao's body, gradually converging into a golden sea. Such a vast power of faith was even more terrifying than the power of faith in the world of immortals. It even gave Ling Xiao an illusion that as long as he devoured this power of faith, he would be able to break through several realms consecutively and attain the supreme God realm. What a powerful power of faith! Even I was almost bewitched by it. Ling Xiao's eyes instantly regained clarity, revealing a trace of shock in his eyes. Chapter 2492. Hua Xianling and Bo Lin were screaming in their hearts. They wanted to tell the people of War God World that Ling Xiao was not sending them to the divine world. Ling Xiao was lying to them. But at this moment, they couldn't even say a word. Rumble. The mighty life light surged like the sea. Under the supreme power of the 10 great saint kings, all the living beings of War God World were quickly sent into the void tunnel and into the heaven prison court. Anyway, in Ling Xiao's view, the heaven prison court was also an upper world. In fact, it was not much different from the divine world. He did not lie to them when he told them that he was going to bring them up. In the entire war god world, only Ling Xiao, the 10 great saint kings, Hua Xianling, Bo Lin, and many other supreme Tao experts were left. Fen Tian, are you all ready? Ling Xiao's gaze fell on the 10 great saint kings as he said faintly. He had already told the 10 great saint kings about his thoughts and plans, which made the 10 great saint kings extremely excited. Their eyes were filled with eagerness. Hunting saint kings? This was a crazy idea. Even for saint kings of the same realm, killing a saint king was not so easy. But the 10 great saint kings of Heaven Prison Court were either extremely vicious or warlike. Not only were they not worried about Ling Xiao's idea, but they were also excited and looking forward to it. This was the peerless figure in their hearts that they should be loyal to. The chosen one who had the hope of becoming an imperial emperor. Master, don't worry. We are all ready. As long as the saint kings of the divine world and devil world dare to come, they will not be able to return. Saint King Fen Tian, Saint King Wang Ba, Saint King Yin Mo and the others looked at each other and smiled. Their eyes were filled with strong fighting spirit. That's good. Go prepare yourselves. Today, I will look for the devil world and divine world to collect some interest. Ling Xiao said faintly with a trace of sharpness in his eyes. Speaking of which, he was forced to self-destruct the wordless heavenly book at the critical moment of life and death. Although the main culprit was the immortal sacred grounds of the divine world, the devil world was not a group of good people either. If it was not for Yuan Lu Demon Monarch and the others who coveted the heavenly fate and the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao would not have been forced to use all his trump cards and self-destruct the wordless heavenly book in the end. Therefore, in Ling Xiao's eyes, regardless of whether it was the Holy King ancestors of the divine world or the Holy King ancestors of the devil world, they all deserved to be killed. Wang. The 10 great saint kings exchanged glances with each other. Light flickered beneath their feet, and they slowly entered the void, completely disappearing. Ling Xiao's palm glowed with light. The Heaven's Might Prison Monument merged with the War God's world and formed a mysterious world inside and outside the War God's world. That was the trial world inside the Heaven's Might Prison Monument. Even a peerless strong practitioner like Tai, who was known as the Grand Emperor, had fallen in the trial worlds, much less a strong practitioner of the Saint King level. This showed how terrifying the trial worlds were. The War God's world quickly calmed down. However, Hua Xianling and Bo Lin knew that the entire War God's world had become a huge trap. There were murderous intents everywhere, and the 10 great saint kings were hiding in the dark, ready to kill at any time. They were waiting for someone to take the bait. Ling Xiao, just kill me. Hua Xuanling's eyes were filled with despair. To him, this torture was worse than killing him. He didn't want to see what was going to happen next, so he only wanted to die. Don't worry. When your Holy King ancestors descend, they will naturally die with you. Didn't you say that your Holy King ancestors wanted to negotiate with me? Then let's talk face to face. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. However, in the eyes of Hua Xianling and Bo Lin, his smile contained a bone-chilling coldness, causing them to tremble all over. A huge sense of despair enveloped them and was tormenting them crazily. They weren't the only ones. The strong practitioners of the divine Tao were even more unbearable. They all knelt in front of Ling Xiao with pleading eyes, hoping that Ling Xiao would spare their lives. However, Ling Xiao didn't even look at them. Or rather, in Ling Xiao's heart, they were all already dead. Ling Xiao stood in the void of the reincarnation sea, surrounded by clouds and mist. Warm sunlight shone on his body, making him look very carefree and casual. His gaze was extremely deep as he looked at the sky above his head. It was as if he could see through endless time and space to reach the source of all worlds, the root of all heavens, the eternal God world. Ling Xiao believed that they would definitely come. The temptation of being the chosen one and the fate of the heavenly Tao, not to mention that it might be related to the secret of the wordless heavenly book. No one could resist, not even the Hua and devil race. One day later, the sky suddenly split open. A mighty sage aura erupted, instantly turning countless mountains in the war god world into dust. The vast sea surged violently, and the sea water poured into the continent, turning the war god world into a vast ocean. Two huge figures descended from the sky, emitting majestic, ancient and mysterious aura fluctuations, as if they could break this side of the world. They appeared in the sky above Ling Zhao's head. The Sage Kings had arrived. The Sage King of the Divine World was a young man with purple hair. He looked extraordinarily handsome and had an extraordinary temperament. He wore purplish gold armor and held a purplish gold ancient sword. His entire body was flowing with a purplish gold aura. His eyes were filled with coldness and murderous intent. He stared at Ling Zhao the moment he appeared. The Demon World Saint King was a middle-aged man in a black robe. He was tall and straight, had a hooked nose, and looked somewhat sinister. He held a black scepter in his hand, and black demon chi surged around him, as if he was an eternal demon realm. Ling Zhao didn't expect that the Sage Kings of the Divine World and the Devil World would arrive at the same time. Ling Zhao, you're still alive. You don't want to escape, but you're still in this small world. Could it be that you've thought it through and want to join the Chinese? But you no longer have the chance. The purple-haired young man's eyes were cold as he stared at Ling Zhao. His voice was like thunder. Hee, you're able to break the attack of an extreme Dao Emperor weapon. It seems like you're really lucky to have survived a great disaster. Ling Zhao, the Bo Sun Imperial family's promise to you is still valid. As long as you join the Bo Sun Imperial family, we'll also fully support you to become the fourth Devil Emperor of the Devil World. What do you think? The middle-aged man in a black robe looked at Ling Zhao with interest. His voice was filled with temptation. Only 2 Sage Kings have arrived. Aren't you looking down on me too much? Do you really think that you can capture me with just 2 mere Saint Kings? I thought I could kill a few more Sage Kings, but it seems like I'm going to be disappointed. Ling Zhao sighed softly. His gaze was calm, but there was disappointment on his face. Chapter 2493. Shameless boasting. The purple-haired young man sneered. In his opinion, the reason why Ling Zhao was able to fight against a Sage King in the Ling Zhao mountain range in the Divine World was because of the wordless heavenly book. Now that the wordless heavenly book had self-destructed, although he did not know how Ling Zhao managed to escape death, he did not care about a mere sage realm cultivation. Why did the people in this world disappear? The black-robed middle-aged man's eyes suddenly flashed, revealing a trace of uncertainty. With the cultivation of a Sage King, his divine consciousness could naturally cover the entire war god's world. However, he found that everyone in this world seemed to have disappeared into thin air. Even the beasts were gone. It was extremely strange. In the entire war god's world, only Ling Zhao, Hua Xianling, Bo Lin and the other supreme Dao experts were left. Woo. Hua Xianling and Bo Lin's eyes were filled with anxiety and horror. They wanted to say something, but their mouths and noses were all sealed by Ling Zhao, so they could not speak. Boom. Boom. The purple-haired young man and the black-robed middle-aged man struck out their palms at the same time. Vast sage aura erupted and broke the seals of Hua Xianling and Bo Lin easily. Ling Zhao looked at all this indifferently and did not stop them. Ancestor, run, ancestor, this is a trap. You have to leave here quickly. Hua Xianling and Bo Lin both shouted anxiously at the same time, their bodies trembling. What? Seeing Hua Xianling and Bo Lin's expressions, the purple-haired young man and the black-robed middle-aged man could not help but feel that something was wrong. What the hell happened? The purple-haired young man shouted angrily. Before Hua Xianling could answer, Ling Zhao smiled indifferently and said, "Let me answer you. Aren't you curious about where the people of the war god's world went? Of course, I took them all away. The war god's world is your burial place. With 2 Sage Kings buried here, my arrangements were not in vain. Ling Zhao, with just you. The black-robed middle-aged man laughed angrily. Ancestor. Ling Xiao, he has 10 sage king servants who are lying in ambush in the war god's world, waiting for you to come. This is simply a trap. Hua Xianling roared at the top of his lungs, his teeth chattering. Although he wanted to warn the sage ruler ancestor, his heart sank when he saw Ling Xiao's indifferent expression. 10 Saint King slaves. This is impossible. The black-robed middle-aged man exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Ancestor, Ling Xiao does indeed have 10 Saint King servants. He spared our lives because he wanted to use us as bait to deal with you. Bolin said with a look of despair. Rumble. The purple-haired young man and the black-robed middle-aged man both radiated terrifying saint force. Their eyes were filled with extreme caution and vigilance as they stared fixedly at Ling Xiao. They are absolutely right. The war god realm will be your burial ground. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently. His smile was extremely brilliant, but in the eyes of the 2 Saint Kings, there was an indescribable coldness. Boom! The 2 Saint Kings radiated with saint light and were about to break through the void and leave the war god's world. Regardless of whether the war god's world was a trap or not, they wanted to leave the war god's world first. The 10 Saint King servants had already frightened them. Even in the divine world and demon world, Saint Kings were not common. They were experts who stood at the peak of the saint path. Where did Ling Xiao get 10 Saint King servants? Kacha! The war god's world shook violently. The void trembled as if it was about to break apart. The 2 Saint Kings radiated with saint light as they wanted to break through the void and leave. However, to their disbelief, the war god's world, which they thought was extremely fragile, had become extremely sturdy. Even with their strength, they were unable to break through the void. Rumble. At this moment, an ancient and mysterious giant stone tablet appeared above them. It exuded a desolate, vast, ancient and mysterious aura. Divine chains of order traversed across the void and sealed the entire war god's world. Heavenly might like a prison. The 4 blood-red words exuded a monstrous baleful aura as if it was a demon emperor who had slaughtered millions of lives. The 2 Saint Kings were frightened. Extreme Tao Emperor weapon. You. How did you get such a terrifying Extreme Tao Emperor weapon? The purple-haired young man exclaimed. His face instantly turned ugly. Kill. The black-robed middle-aged man's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He instantly pounced towards Ling Xiao. He was extremely decisive. When he knew that there might be 10 Saint Kings hiding in the surroundings, he wanted to make use of Ling Xiao's carelessness to capture the leader first. Only by capturing Ling Xiao could he break out of this situation. Boundless demonic light surged like a black ocean. The black-robed middle-aged man's speed was extremely fast. He appeared in front of Ling Xiao almost instantly. Then, a huge demonic palm grabbed towards Ling Xiao. Do you think I'm a pushover? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Blazing golden light shot out from his eyes. Rumble. Purple gold divine light gushed out from his body, and his chi and blood rose like an ocean. Ling Xiao threw out a punch, and all the terrifying divine power around him condensed into this punch, which contained a wave that could destroy the heavens and earth. With a loud bang, it collided with the black-robed middle-aged man. Purple golden light gushed out and collided with the black demonic palm. It was like a huge storm that exploded in all directions and engulfed the entire war god's world. However, the black-robed middle-aged man felt a monstrous power rushing towards him. The power was extremely strong. It was like the power of chaos splitting the heavens. He was unable to withstand it at all. The huge demonic palm exploded in the void, and the vast power of the fist surged into the black-robed middle-aged man's body. In an instant, one of his arms exploded, and his entire body was sent flying. You. How can you have such a powerful physical body? You're not a saint. You've already broken through to the great saint realm? The black-robed middle-aged man's expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He did not participate in the battle at the Ling Shao mountain range. However, he knew how tragic that battle was. Ling Shao used the wordless heavenly book to defeat everyone and finally escape from the divine world. Although he was intercepted by Yuanlu Demon King and encountered a life and death crisis, he directly detonated the wordless heavenly book and severely injured Yuanlu Demon King. Yuanlu Demon King died under Jin's time compass. He did not underestimate Ling Shao. However, he did not experience that battle after all. It was difficult for him to imagine how strong Ling Xiao's physical body was. Chapter 2494. So what if you're a Saint King? That's all you've got? Ling Xiao said indifferently. His voice was like thunder from the 9 heavens, shaking the entire reincarnation sea and causing terrifying waves to erupt. Damn it! How can he be so strong? The purple-haired young man was also extremely shocked. His face turned ugly. Boom! 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 At this moment, blazing divine light exploded in all directions of the war god's world. It was like 10 brilliant suns in the sky. In an instant, 10 figures with terrifying auras appeared and attacked the 2 Saint Kings at the same time. The 10 Saint Kings' auras intertwined and formed a vast and mysterious 10-direction battle formation. They surrounded the 2 Saint Kings as soon as they attacked. Are there really 10 Saint Kings as servants? The 2 Saint Kings were shocked. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Hee, you're just 2 Saint Kings. You should be proud that you're able to make us use the 10-direction annihilation formation to deal with you. Burning Heaven Saint King sneered. Monstrous flames rose around his body. Under the support of the battle formation, his strength began to soar again. Who are you people? How dare you side with Ling Shao? Don't you want your dignity as a Saint King? As long as you give up on being enemies with the Hua tribe, the Hua tribe can take out Emperor Tiandu's Supreme Emperor technique and give it to you. The purple-haired young man roared. There was a hint of anxiety in his voice. The 10 Saint Kings attacked at the same time. In addition to the 10-direction annihilation formation, it gave him an unimaginable pressure. The threat of death surged in his heart. If you can stop, the Bo Sun Imperial clan is also willing to give the Supreme Emperor technique to you. Ling Shao is the chosen one. He has heaven's luck. If you kill him and obtain his heaven's luck, you'll be able to become an emperor in the future. The black-robed middle-aged man also shouted. At this moment, he did not forget to drive a wedge between the Saint Kings and Ling Shao. In their opinion, the 10 Saint Kings were willing to listen to Ling Xiao's orders because Ling Xiao had given them some benefits. That was why they were willing to follow Ling Xiao's orders. To Saint Kings, only Supreme Monarch arts, Supreme Monarch scriptures, and Supreme Monarch weapons could move them. They only hoped that the 10 Saint Kings would let them live. Peerless Emperor technique? Hee, I don't care. How dare you try to drive a wedge between us and Master? You deserve to die. Holy King Wangba sneered. Without any hesitation, he threw a punch at them. The other saint rulers did not hesitate at all. What a joke, a mere peerless monarch technique was enough to tempt them to betray Ling Shao. These two fellows completely did not know that the little lives of the 10 great Saint Kings were all grasped in Ling Xiao's hands. Rumble. The battle of Holy Kings practically erupted in an instant. The 10 great Saint Kings were the strongest in the heavenly prison realm. Each one of them had unparalleled strength. Their saint aura burst out mightily, almost turning the entire war god world into chaos. Countless mountains crumbled, rivers flowed in reverse, and the continent shook. The entire war god world became a vast ocean. Although the Chinese Saint Kings and Bo Sun Imperial clan Saint Kings were strong, they were no match for the 10 great Saint Kings, not to mention that the 10 great Saint Kings had set up the 10-direction annihilation formation. Ling Shao knew that there was no suspense in this battle. He looked at the battle in front of him indifferently. His eyes were deep and cold. He knew that after this battle, the entire God realm and Devil realm would probably know of his return. There would also be even more people searching for him. Even saint kings and even imperial emperors would covet the providence of the heavenly Tao on him. That was the key to the supreme monarch realm, a treasure that everyone would go crazy for. Ling Xiao knew that he would become the enemy of the entire world. The Chinese saint kings and Bo Sun imperial clan saint kings all died quickly in the 10-direction annihilation formation. Even though they had burned their lifespan and blood essence in the end, and even unleashed the imprint of an extreme monarch weapon, causing the 10 great saint kings to suffer different degrees of injuries, they still died. Master, fortunately, I did not disappoint you. Saint King Skyburn strode over, exuding a monstrous murderous aura as he spoke respectfully to Ling Xiao. There was a very long bloody wound on his chest, almost splitting him in half. It was filled with terrifying demonic light, preventing the wound from healing. That was the strongest attack of the Bo Sun Imperial clan Saint King before he died. It was extremely difficult to kill a Saint King. Even if one was no match for him, it was very easy to escape. If Ling Xiao had not sealed the God of War's world with the Heaven's Might Prison Monument and the 10-direction annihilation formation, it would not have been so easy for the 10 great Saint Kings to kill the 2 Saint Kings. There were 2 bright balls of light in Saint King Skyburn's palm. There was a bright ancient tree in each of the balls of light. It was as if they were rooted in the chaotic void and were extracting energy from the endless space-time. This was the Saint King's Great Tao Foundation. It was formed from their cultivation and contained their lifetime of comprehension. If one could refine it, they would be able to obtain the Saint King's Great Tao Law. The Saint Tree. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up. The ancient trees in the 2 balls of light in front of him looked dazzling. One of them exuded purple divine light, and the other was enshrouded in black mist. It was as if they contained endless mysteries of heaven and earth. Not bad. Ling Xiao received the 2 balls of light. With these 2 Saint Tree, Ling Xiao's cultivation could improve. He might be able to reach the middle or late stage of the Great Saint Realm. The most important thing was that the Great Tao Law contained in the Saint Tree could save Ling Xiao countless years of cultivation. Protect me, Ling Xiao said to Saint King Skyburn and the others. Then, he sat down cross-legged in the sky above the reincarnation sea and prepared to refine the Saint Tree. The Saint Tree floated in front of Ling Xiao. It was enshrouded in bright light, as if it contained some kind of incomparably mysterious mark. As Ling Xiao operated his cultivation technique, it began to turn into strands of light and rushed into Ling Xiao's forehead. In Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness, his primordial spirit exuded a kind of purple light. It looked majestic and mysterious, as if it was an eternal emperor sitting cross-legged in the endless space-time. In the previous life and death crisis, Ling Xiao had completely integrated with the Hong Meng purple vapor, causing a mysterious change to his physical body and primordial spirit. For an ordinary great saint expert, it was very difficult to refine the Saint King's Saint Tree. Even if they could refine it, they would use up more than half of its energy. However, after sensing the Hong Meng purple vapor in Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, the Saint Tree slowly disintegrated. It was like a bright galaxy, enshrouded in mysterious light, and rushed toward Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. Rumble. Chapter 2495. In the ancestral land of the Chinese in the divine realm. Oh no! Old ancestor Hua Qing's life jade is broken. Could it be that old ancestor Hua Qing has died in the lower realm? Quickly report this to the other old ancestors. The elder who was in charge of the Hua clan's life tablet trembled violently when he saw Hua Qing's life tablet broken. His eyes were filled with shock as he ran out in horror. Previously, when the news that Ling Xiao was still alive spread to the Chinese, all the old ancestors were shocked. All of them acted as if they were facing a great enemy. After a discussion, they decided to send old ancestor Hua Qing to the lower realm to secretly capture Ling Xiao. However, they did not expect old ancestor Hua Qing to have died not long after he came to the lower realm. Damn it! How could Ling Xiao have killed Hua Qing? Hua Qing had an awakened extreme Tao Emperor weapon in his hand. Even if he could not defeat Ling Xiao, he could have escaped. Who killed him? A furious roar came from the ancestral land of the Chinese. Swoosh! 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 Among the Chinese, many figures with powerful auras came to the ancestral land. All of them were experts above the sage realm. Due to Hua Qing's death, the Chinese felt as if they were facing a great enemy. All of them gathered together to discuss countermeasures. In the small world of the Bo Sun imperial family in the Devil realm. Oh no! Old ancestor Bo Kun has died. Did he die in Ling Xiao's hands? Damn it! How could Ling Xiao have killed old ancestor Bo Kun? The Bo Sun imperial family was completely shocked by the news. The upper echelons of the imperial family were shocked and furious. They emitted a monstrous murderous aura. They could not wait to send experts to the lower realm to tear Ling Xiao into pieces. Even to the imperial family, losing a Sage King expert was an unbearable loss. The upper echelons of the Bo Sun imperial family gritted their teeth. They were shocked by Ling Xiao's strength. Now, Ling Xiao could even kill a Sage King. We must report this to the Elder Guild. It's best if the 3 demon emperors know about this. Otherwise, once Ling Xiao grows stronger, he'll definitely be a great threat to the demon clan. After an intense discussion, the upper echelons of the Bo Sun imperial family decided to send experts to the Elder Guild. The death of the 2 Saint Kings shocked the Chinese and the Bo Sun imperial clan. However, at the same time, the news that Ling Xiao was still alive and had killed 2 saint rulers in a single battle in the War God's world quickly spread throughout the universe. It caused an uproar in the universe. What? The chosen one of the human clan, Ling Xiao, was still alive? How is this possible? That's just a rumor, right? The wordless heavenly book is a chaos supreme treasure. It's impossible for Ling Xiao to survive the explosion of a chaos supreme treasure. How did he escape from death? Is this the providence of the chosen one? As expected, it was hard to suppress. Those who offended Ling Xiao are probably going to panic now. Ling Xiao can even kill Saint Kings now. Is he still far from proving his Tao and becoming a supreme god? It looks like the myriad worlds are going to be in turmoil. The great epic tribulation had descended. It was said that this was the most terrifying great epic tribulation in countless epochs. Then Ling Xiao is destined to rise. The entire universe was shaken by the news that Ling Xiao was still alive. Especially the gods' world. During the battle at the Ling Xiao mountain range, more than half of the 12 immortal sacred lands had participated in the assassination of Ling Xiao. Those immortal sacred lands were extremely shocked and acted as though they were facing a great enemy. They all summoned their patriarchs to discuss countermeasures. We've completely offended Ling Xiao. This is a life and death feud that can't be undone. Once he grows up, he'll definitely not let us off. Therefore, Ling Xiao must die. That's right. Ling Xiao is a great threat to all of us. None of those who participated in the assassination of Ling Xiao will be able to escape. However, Ling Xiao's current strength is too terrifying. I heard that he's already reached the Supreme Saint realm and has 10 saint rulers as his servants. He's already established his power. I'm afraid we can't do anything to him. It's probably very difficult for an immortal sacred land to kill Ling Xiao alone. We have to contact the other immortal sacred lands and send out their strongest experts. If necessary, we might have to invite those emperor ancestors. As long as we can kill Ling Xiao, we'll do whatever it takes. The Myriad Buddha Temple, the Spacetime Gate, the Heavenly Curse Sect, the Ninefold Imperial Obelisk, the Terminator Demon Sect, the Chinese, and other sacred lands and ancient races all sent out their experts to gather together and discuss a plan. Even during the human epoch, the demon invasions had never made them feel like they were facing a great enemy. The threat that Ling Xiao posed to them was just too great. The War God Hall. During the time that Ling Xiao had gone missing, the War God Hall had been severely suppressed by the other immortal sacred lands. As long as the sect's disciples went out to train, they would suffer heavy casualties. Many elders had been assassinated as well, causing the War God Hall's morale to plummet. Many disciples had even begun to leave the War God Hall, greatly damaging the War God Hall's vitality. Even though Lu Bai was a genius and did his best to maintain the War God Hall, he was still mentally and physically exhausted. He felt like there was nothing he could do. At this moment, the news that Ling Xiao was still alive had reached the War God Hall. I knew it. I knew junior brother was still alive. Ha ha ha. There's hope for our War God Hall. Lu Wenzheng, Chong He, and Chong Su all burst into tears as they danced around. They were so excited that they could not control themselves. Their worries over the past few years had all been swept away at that moment. They were all extremely excited. The other disciples of the War God Hall were extremely excited as well. They were all in an uproar. They had long since treated Ling Xiao as their idol. When they heard that Ling Xiao had killed 2 saint rulers in the War God's world, they were extremely excited. They wanted nothing more than to personally witness the battle and see Ling Xiao's peerless glory. Ling Xiao. Junior Master. You really are still alive. That's great. The corner of Lu Bai's mouth revealed a faint smile. The tiredness on his flawless face was swept away. It was as if he had turned back into the peerless god of war in white. The news seemed to bring hope to the War God Hall. It strengthened the unity of the War God Hall like never before. The Samsara Shrine. The sea of clouds was faintly discernible. A laurel tree was rooted in the sea of clouds. Its branches and leaves were verdant, and it contained a vigorous and majestic aura of life. A woman in a white dress sat cross-legged under the tree. Her hair was like a waterfall, and her skin was like jade. There was not a single blemish on her face. Her face exuded a soul-stirring beauty. She was quiet and gentle, and her eyes were as gentle as water. At this moment, her eyes were slightly closed as she cultivated in seclusion. Saintess, Ling Xiao. He's still alive. Moreover, he killed 2 saint rulers from the Chinese and Bo Sun imperial clan in the lower realm. An old woman appeared behind the white-clothed woman and sighed softly. The woman in white trembled all over and slowly turned around. Her eyes revealed an incomparably pleasantly surprised expression. I knew it. No one can kill Brother Ling Xiao. The white-clothed woman said softly. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Her smile made the world pale in comparison. Chapter 2496. The old woman looked at the smile on Shui Wei's face. Her heart ached for her. She understood Jin Sei's worry and pain during this period of time. She was even willing to reincarnate 10,000 times in order to increase her cultivation and avenge Ling Xiao. The Shui Wei standing in front of her was only a part of Shui Wei's true spirit. Shui Wei's true body had already entered reincarnation to experience the tribulation of 10,000 reincarnations. The tribulation of 10,000 reincarnations was a trial that many people in the Samsara temple did not dare to experience. Although they would obtain great fortune and enlightenment in reincarnation, they would suffer endless pain. Even a saint would not be able to endure it. Holy Lady. The temple master also asked me to pass on a message to you. He wants you to not forget your promise to him. When you return from reincarnation, you must marry the Holy Sun. The old woman's eyes revealed a trace of reluctance as she spoke. Tell him that since Brother Ling Xiao is safe and sound, I will remember our promise. Shui Wei said calmly. Sigh, the old woman let out a long sigh, nodded, and then turned to leave. She knew how kind Shui Wei was and how much Shui Wei had sacrificed for Ling Xiao. She also knew that Shui Wei had knelt before the Samsara Temple Master and sacrificed her marriage to the saint in order to get the Samsara Temple Master to help Ling Xiao. The old woman's heart ached for such a good girl, but she was just an ordinary elder of the Samsara Temple. There was nothing she could do. Brother Ling Xiao, it's good that you're safe. I hope that you can stay with Sister Jin Sei forever and never leave her. Shui Wei will always give you my blessings. Shui Wei looked at the sea of clouds in front of her and smiled as she muttered to herself. However, as she smiled, 2 streams of tears rolled down Shui Wei's cheeks. Everyone in the universe was shocked by the news that Ling Xiao was still alive. Those who cared about Ling Xiao were naturally excited and happy for him. Ling Xiao's enemies gritted their teeth as if they were facing a great enemy. They could not wait to kill Ling Xiao. However, none of this had anything to do with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the God of War's world and refined the holy tree of the two holy kings. Rumble. Behind Ling Xiao, a blazing divine light rose. Vaguely, an ancient and vast world appeared. It was enshrouded in resplendent purple qi. Vaguely, there were 12 rays of divine light circling around it, containing the mysterious laws of the Great Path. The foundation of Ling Xiao's Tao was the wordless heavenly book, the 12 heaven arts secret technique. The 12 sky arts contained the power to split the heavens and the earth apart, the profundities of the impermanence of fate, the connection between karma and all living beings, the secrets of reincarnation, the power of time, space, yin, yang, the 5 elements. It could be said that it encompassed all the laws of the universe. This time, Ling Xiao had self-detonated the wordless heavenly book. After his rebirth, the wordless heavenly book had truly become one with him, completely becoming a part of his body. This allowed him to create an eternal and unique small world. This small world had its own heavenly Tao laws, and did not depend on the outside world. It was gradually growing and strengthening. He named this small world the Firmament Realm. He believed that one day, the Firmament Realm would continue to grow and reach the level of the Devil World and the Immortal World. It might even surpass the Devil World and the Immortal World, reaching an unimaginable level. Although the 108 secret techniques in the wordless heavenly book each had their own profundities, the 12 heaven arts secret technique was the foundation. Ling Xiao used the 12 heaven arts secret technique as the foundation. In addition, he had completely integrated with the wordless heavenly book, so he began to comprehend the other heavenly dipper secret technique and earthly demon secret technique. The holy tree of the two saint kings was like a catalyst, allowing Ling Xiao to integrate everything he had learned. Gradually, he had a feeling of using the heavens and earth as the furnace, the sun and moon as the flame, and himself as the medicine, wanting to refine the supreme fortune and opportunity of the heavens and earth. Rumble. The radiance around Ling Xiao was dazzling. His blood and qi rose like a raging flame. His whole body exuded a crystalline luster as if he was transparent. One could see his blood flowing endlessly. His bones were like pillars that supported the sky. His flesh and blood contained the power to destroy heaven and earth. His primordial spirit could illuminate the boundless darkness. The strongest cultivation technique I have obtained is the flawless age and heavenly prison scripture. Zhao Ritian had also taught me the heavenly emperor scripture. Although it wasn't personally taught by the heavenly emperor, it still contained the heavenly emperor's lifetime of cultivation experience. These 3 scriptures are the 3 paths to becoming an emperor. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in the void, using the heart of heaven to illuminate his heart. His heart was clear and pure. He began to recall the fortune and opportunity that he had obtained. The Heavenly Emperor scripture is a classic of the human race. The Heavenly Emperor fought against the heavens, against humans, and against himself. It contains the Heavenly Emperor's peerless belief and battle intent. The Age scripture contains the mystery of the flow of time. It resonates with the Space Emperor's Void scripture and is a forbidden power. The Heavenly Prison scripture is the Heavenly Prison Emperor's way of breaking through heaven and earth, using heaven and earth as his prison and all living beings as his prisoners. He wanted to break through the shackles of heaven and earth and advance bravely. These 3 scriptures, if I choose one to cultivate, as long as I stay true to my heart, I will be able to reach the Emperor realm in the future. But I am not willing to choose these 3 paths. This is the path of the Heavenly Emperor, the path of the Flowing Time Emperor, and the path of the Heavenly Prison Emperor. Even if I can become an emperor in the future, I will only become another Heavenly Emperor, Flowing Time Emperor, or Heavenly Prison Emperor. If I want to surpass them, I have to walk a path that no one has ever walked before. Ling Xiao's heart was clear. It was as if there was a thunderous voice shouting and roaring in his heart. My focus is not on the 3 scriptures, but on the 108 secret skills. Previously, the Emperor of Kuan Wu Mountain told me that the wordless heavenly book was ominous. Since ancient times, countless people who cultivated the wordless heavenly book did not end well. Even the emperor of Kunwu Mountain gave up on the wordless heavenly book. Perhaps I was afraid before, but since I died once, the wordless heavenly book has completely become a part of my body. The 108 secret skills are the foundation of my Tao. Even if there is a scheme behind it, it is no longer a threat to me. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Previously, although the wordless heavenly book was Ling Xiao's greatest trump card, every time Ling Xiao used the wordless heavenly book, he would have a feeling that there was a pair of mysterious eyes watching him. As his cultivation grew stronger, this feeling became clearer. He knew that there was something wrong with the wordless heavenly book, just as the emperor of Kunwu Mountain said, but he could not find the problem at all. However, this life and death tribulation was a crisis for him, but it was also a good fortune. Chapter 2497. It was as if the pair of eyes in the unseen world had disappeared. He seemed to have broken some kind of chain, giving him a sense of ease and freedom that he had never felt before. No one can control my fate. My fate is up to me, not the heavens. There seemed to be a thunderous voice exploding in Ling Xiao's heart. It shook him so much that his body was trembling, and his qi and blood became more vigorous. I, Ling Xiao, will create my own path. With the 12 sky skills as the foundation, the 3 scriptures as the support, and the hundreds of millions of cultivation methods as the source, I will create my own path. The idea in Ling Xiao's heart grew stronger and stronger. The tree of holy way of the 2 Saint Kings was quickly refined by him. The great path precepts and majestic energy contained in it became a part of his body, pushing his cultivation to the peak of the great saint realm. However, Ling Xiao did not pay attention to all this. He was completely immersed in the Tao comprehension realm. Rumble. The Heavenly Emperor Sutra, Menstruation Sutra, and Heavenly Prison Sutra were like 3 bright suns. They rose from Ling Xiao's body and floated behind him, exuding an eternal and unique power. As for the other Supreme Emperor Arts and Incomplete Emperor Scriptures, they were like gorgeous stars that slowly emerged, forming a dazzling galaxy. Chaotic light rose, and runes filled the air. Chaos, fate, karma, reincarnation, space-time, yin and yang, and other mysterious auras appeared around Ling Xiao. They were like 12 divine rings, supporting him. Supreme Emperor Sutra, Supreme Emperor Techniques, Peerless Saint Techniques, Divine Secret Skills. The countless cultivation methods that Ling Xiao had cultivated over the years all appeared in his heart. They began to materialize into mysterious runes, intertwining with each other as if they were trying to master them. Ling Xiao was an unprecedented saint realm. His physical body, primordial spirit, precepts, and heart force had all condensed the saint path. In particular, the Heart Sutra that he cultivated was the Heart Sutra of Taishu. In Ling Xiao's view, this was a cultivation method that was not inferior to the Emperor Sutra. If the Emperor Taishu had not died in battle, the Emperor Taishu would have become the real Emperor Taishu. As Ling Xiao's Heart Sutra operated, a mysterious heart realm also slowly emerged. It seemed to have merged with the Ling Xiao realm. One was real and one was illusory. They complemented each other and looked incomparably perfect. Rumble. Ling Xiao suddenly moved. His eyes were closed and there was a faint smile on his face. He looked dignified as if he was in a state of enlightenment. But when his hands moved in the air, it was as if he was stirring up the world. Endless chaotic light rose and the entire war god world shook with his movements. Roar. The roar of a dragon resounded through the sky, containing an ancient and mysterious aura. Ling Xiao punched out, causing the earth to tremble and the mountains to shake. Vaguely, a giant golden dragon appeared, soaring in the sky and exuding an insufferably majestic aura. Crack. Blazing lightning rose from Ling Xiao's body. Purple light gathered between his eyebrows, forming a purple eye, making him look even more majestic. That purple eye seemed to be the eye of the heavenly Tao. Terrifying purple lightning exploded from it, like a heavenly punishment that destroyed the world, causing the chaos in all directions to rumble loudly. Boom! In the next moment, Ling Xiao's blood rose and he directly soared into the sky. It was as if there were countless ancient people chanting. Behind Ling Xiao, the image of hundreds of millions of people who endured hardships appeared, as if they were bringing everyone to the beginning of the era. Ling Xiao punched out, and the fist print swept across the chaos, containing endless light. It was as if it could break through 10,000 worlds, break through the darkness, and create a bright era. This was the Heavenly Emperor seal. Under the activation of Ling Xiao's Heavenly Emperor scripture, it erupted with peerless divine power. The scene of Ling Xiao comprehending Tao completely shocked the 10 great saint kings. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock and horror. Master is going to evolve 10,000 techniques. What kind of path is he walking on? It's really too terrifying. Saint King Skyburn exclaimed. Although Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the Great Saint realm, the peerless fist print that Ling Xiao evolved made him feel shocked. From the runes that filled Ling Xiao's body, Saint King Skyburn could feel Ling Xiao's extremely powerful foundation. I originally thought that Master was going to refine the tree of saintly way of the 2 Saint Kings to increase his cultivation. I didn't think that Master was using the tree of saintly way as an opportunity to integrate everything he had learned and create his own method. Saint King Yin Mo also said with incomparable shock. Perhaps, we're witnessing a future emperor creating a peerless emperor scripture. Saint King Wang Ba's eyes were filled with incomparable fanaticism and worship. Perhaps at the very beginning, the 10 Saint Kings were unwilling to submit to Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao saved them, if Ling Xiao didn't control their life and death, they wouldn't have submitted to Ling Xiao. However, after following Ling Xiao's battles and learning of Ling Xiao's battle achievements in the immortal realm, and now seeing Ling Xiao evolving 10,000 techniques in front of them, they were incomparably shocked, and even felt a sense of worship. At the very least, when they were at the Great Saint realm, they were far inferior to Ling Xiao. Even now, they might not be able to defeat Ling Xiao. The Chosen One, who possessed the heavenly Tao's providence, was known as the founder of the new era, and now displayed a peerless foundation and evolved a peerless technique. It made them vaguely feel as if they could see a future emperor slowly rising. Rumble. The runes around Ling Xiao's body were dazzling, and the dazzling galaxy emitted an endless mysterious light that continuously merged into Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao's speed was extremely fast at the beginning, like a golden lightning bolt crossing the void. Every punch contained a destructive fluctuation that seemed to be able to penetrate the entire war god's world. If it wasn't for the war god's world being sealed and strengthened by the prison monument, the entire war god's world would have been completely shattered under Ling Xiao's terrifying power. Later on, Ling Xiao's speed became slower and slower, but his aura became stronger and stronger. As his hands moved, there was an invincible Taoist rhyme flowing, like a rising sun, exuding vigorous vitality and great momentum. Ling Xiao's Tao seemed to be gradually perfecting and brightening, entering a perfect realm. His every move evolved an invincible fist technique that could split the heavens and earth, and cleanse the crowd of heroes. Roar! Ling Xiao opened his mouth and let out a long roar, as if all the gods and demons in the heavens were suppressed by this roar. A mysterious diagram of the Great Tao appeared in the void, gathering all kinds of techniques and endless magical powers, and all of them were gathered into his body. Chapter 2498. Rumble. The aura around Ling Xiao's body was incomparably vast. That invincible fist seal was still a little sluggish at the beginning, but as Ling Xiao merged all techniques and comprehended the heavenly Tao, his Tao and techniques became more and more perfect. In the end, that invincible fist seal swept through the void like an immortal mountain, filling the entire war god's world. It majestically soared into the sky, causing the 10 great saint kings to feel a terrifying pressure rushing towards them. What? The 10 great saint kings couldn't help but change their expressions. In their eyes, that fist seal bloomed with a myriad of golden light, exuding an aura of eternity. It was as if it was going to break an era and recreate heaven and earth, containing the power of the life and death of the world and civilization. In front of this fist, even the 10 great saint kings felt that their strength was like that of ants, and their bodies unconsciously trembled. Boom! The 10 great Saint Kings felt as if they were struck by lightning, and the protective divine aura around them completely shattered. They were suddenly sent flying, and the blood in their bodies surged, and their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. This was merely the aftermath of that fist, and it was already difficult for the 10 of them to resist. If that fist was really aimed at them, then wouldn't they be forcefully killed? This is Master's Tao. Saint King Skyburn's eyes were filled with incomparable surprise. It's merged with the Celestial Emperor's fist, time-extinguishing finger, and heaven's might, but it's completely different. Master has already walked his own path. In the future, he'll definitely be able to use his own Tao to prove his Tao and become an emperor. Saint King Yin Mo also said with incomparable surprise. The Celestial Emperor's fist was the Celestial Emperor's ultimate fist technique, and the time-extinguishing finger and heaven's might were also the Celestial Emperor's and Celestial Prison Emperor's ultimate emperor's techniques. Ling Xiao's Tao of Fist was born from these 3 great emperor techniques, but it also had a kind of secret technique that merged the heavens, and the supreme mystery of shattering the universe. The 10 great Saint Kings faintly felt somewhat expectant. This fist seal was so shocking, and once it was completely perfected, how powerful would it be? Whoosh! After Ling Xiao unleashed that punch, his entire body seemed to have been drained of all energy. The vast and majestic energy fluctuations disappeared without a trace, and his aura also returned to normal. He slowly opened his eyes, and it was as if the light of the heavens had been opened, shining brightly. However, Ling Xiao's cultivation had fallen from the Great Saint Realm peak to the Great Saint Realm initial stage. However, his aura was not weak at all. It seemed more and more unfathomable. Master, what kind of fist technique did you use just now? That punch is enough to slaughter Saint Kings and topple the heavens. Burning Heaven Saint King's eyes revealed an incomparably fanatical look of worship as he spoke to Ling Xiao. That punch is still incomplete. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly. Although he had combined the 108 secret skills of Tiangang and Disha and used the 3 imperial scriptures as a foundation, he wanted to comprehend his own technique and understand his own Tao. However, after the epiphany, Ling Xiao could only see the path ahead. If he wanted to completely perfect his ways and laws, it was not something that could be accomplished with a single epiphany. I must nurture 100 scriptures. The 3 imperial scriptures are not enough. If I want to embark on an unprecedented path, I must learn from more predecessors' methods and verify them with my own Tao. Ling Xiao sighed softly in his heart. However, the epiphany this time was indeed a great opportunity for him. Not only did it allow his cultivation to go through a condensation, but it also allowed him to completely devour the holy tree of the 2 Saint Kings. It also allowed him to comprehend half of the fist technique and understand his own Tao. Just half of the fist technique almost drained his cultivation. The sound wave sent the 10 great Saint Kings flying. Ling Xiao was also looking forward to how powerful that fist technique would be after it was perfected. Let's call it Epic Fist. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment and said slowly. Epic Fist? With one punch, you can restart the epic and recreate the world. What kind of spirit is this? Good name, it is indeed a good name. The eyes of Burning Heaven Saint King and the others immediately lit up. Carefully recalling the peerless power of Ling Xiao's punch, they vaguely felt that the name Epic Fist was extremely mysterious. It was as if it coincided with the heavenly Tao and touched the forbidden power in the unseen world. This half of the Epic Fist can be my trump card and killer move. With one blow, even a Saint King will be severely injured if not killed. Ling Xiao's eyes were shining as he thought to himself. Now, he truly had the power to fight against a Saint King. After going through a life and death calamity, he had merged with the Hong Meng purple vapor and returned from a rebirth. His physical body had merged with the wordless heavenly book and many other treasures. His cultivation had broken through to the Great Saint Realm, merged with thousands of techniques, and formed half of the Epic Fist. All of these gave Ling Xiao unimaginable combat power. Ordinary Saint Kings were no longer his match. Half of the Epic Fist could fight ordinary Saint Kings, defeat peak Saint Kings, and fight supreme Saint Kings. Among the 10 great saint kings, most of them were ordinary saint kings. Saint King Wang Ba and Saint King Yin Mo were both peak saint kings. Even Burning Heaven Saint King, who was the most powerful, was only a peak saint king. He was only a step away from becoming a supreme saint king. Whoosh! A light flashed in Ling Xiao's palm, and the heaven's might prison steel flew back into his palm like a bright stream of light. He stood in the outer space of the God of War's realm and looked at the stars in the 9 heavens. There was a hint of a sneer in his eyes. After waiting for so long, it seems that the saint kings of the God realm and the demon realm don't dare to come down. How disappointing. After killing the 2 saint kings, Ling Xiao did not kill Hua Xianling, Bo Lin, and the other supreme Dao experts. Instead, he planted a seal in their primordial spirits and let them return to the myriad heavens to spread the news that he was still alive. Ling Xiao believed that the myriad heavens would be in an uproar because of the news that he was still alive. Let's go back. Ling Xiao said slowly. This time, when he returned to the God of War's realm, it was fortunate that his father, mother, and many of his old friends from the Changsun sect were safe and sound. At this moment, they had been safely sent to the heaven prison world by him. This could be considered as fulfilling one of Ling Xiao's wishes. Ling Xiao was the master of the heaven prison world. With the heaven's might prison steel in his hand, the heaven prison world was impregnable. There was no one who could break through the heaven prison world. Ling Xiao also had enough time to grow. No matter what, I have to return to the God realm. Moreover, I have to return before the fusion of the heavens is completed. The God realm is the core of the myriad heavens. Only by taking the initiative in the God realm can I have a chance to compete with the experts of the heavens in the future. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Kacha! The heavens might prison steel bloomed with a bright light and opened the void passage to the heaven prison world. Ling Xiao and the 10 great saint kings stepped into the passage together and left the God of War's realm, returning to the heaven prison world. Chapter 2499. In the heaven prison world, Ling Zhen, Long Han Yan, Long Out Yan, and the others were worried. Especially after knowing that Ling Xiao was the enemy of the entire divine world, they were even more worried that Ling Xiao would be in danger if he stayed in the war god world. They were only relieved when Ling Xiao returned to the heaven prison world. Cousin, you're finally back. How's the battle? Those bastards in the divine world should have been chased away by you, right? Long Outyen looked at Ling Xiao expectantly. Lord Outyen, Master killed 2 saint kings from the divine world and demon world in this battle, shocking the entire world. From now on, no one will dare to look down on Master. Before Ling Xiao could say anything, Saint King Fan Tian smiled and said. Killed 2 saint kings? Long Outyen and the others gasped. Their eyes were filled with amazement. Cousin, you're amazing. I don't know when I'll be able to reach your level. Comparisons are odious. Long Outyen said with amazement and frustration. Congratulations, Master, shocking the entire world. Congratulations, Master, dominating the entire world. Mu Linfeng and the other direct disciples of the Ling Xiao sect, as well as the disciples of the Changsun sect, were all in awe. Their eyes were filled with excitement. When they came to the heavenly prison realm, they had a complete understanding of the realm of cultivation. The Saint King was the existence that stood at the pinnacle of the Saint Path. Even in a greater thousand world, he was a peerless expert that dominated a region. Saint Kings were invincible as long as the great emperors and emperors did not appear. It could be said that Saint Kings were like kings in the mortal world, dominating the world and shocking the world. Now that Ling Xiao could even kill a Saint King, was he still far from the legendary Great Emperor realm? From now on, all of you should cultivate well in the heaven prison court. I hope all of you can become saints soon. Ling Xiao said to the crowd, his eyes filled with anticipation. Whoosh! 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 Divine weapons and elixirs floated out one by one, emitting a bright light, and were all pushed towards Nangong Xian by Ling Xiao. Elder Nangong, distribute these weapons and elixirs, and let everyone cultivate hard. In the Ling Shao Imperial Court, you won't be any threat, but you must be stricter and use these resources to grow as quickly as possible. Ling Shao said to Nangong Xian. Patriarch, don't worry. Our Changsun sect's disciples were limited by the resources in the God of War world, that's why their cultivation was slow. But in the Heaven Prison world, their cultivation will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. Nangong Xian said excitedly. After he came to the Heaven Prison realm, his cultivation base had improved by leaps and bounds. In just a few days, he had used the resources of the Heaven Prison realm to push his cultivation base to the peak of the Divine Spirit realm. This cultivation speed was thousands of times faster than the War God realm. Nangong Xian's heart was filled with hope. Thank you, Ancestral Master. Many of the Longevity sect's disciples saluted fervently. Without needing Ling Zhao's instructions, Hu Feng, Huge Axe, and Purple Thunder, who already saw themselves as the chief stewards of the Celestial Court, drew a floating mountain range in the Celestial Court and named it the Longevity Mountain. It would be the Longevity sect's base. The heaven and earth spiritual chi in the Heaven Prison world was thousands of times more than the War God realm, and the Celestial Court of the Celestial Court was even more beautiful. The Celestial Court gathered the heaven and earth essence of the entire Heaven Prison world. The 10 great saint kings worked together to set up a super spirit gathering saint array, gathering vast amounts of origin energy. In just a few days, many of the Longevity sect's disciples had broken through, and their cultivation base improved by leaps and bounds. Even Mu Lin Feng and the other true disciples of Ling Shao, who had the strongest cultivation base, had broken through to the mid and late heavenly god realm. In the Heaven Prison world, the terrifying potential of their 7 great saint bodies had finally begun to explode. Ling Shao went into seclusion in the Celestial Court of the Celestial Court for a period of time. After digesting what he had gained, he came out of seclusion. Fen Tian, how's the preparation of the army? Ling Shao looked at Fen Tian and asked. Master, the Heaven Prison world has selected 100,000 people to form the Divine King Army, 100,000 to form the Half-Saint Army, 3,000 to form the Saint Army, and 200 to form the Great Saint Army. At the same time, there are 3 great Saint Kings who are willing to join you. Burning Heaven Saint King respectfully reported to Ling Shao. The Divine King Army and the Half-Saint Army will remain at 100,000 people. There is no need to increase it anymore. However, the Saint Army and the Great Saint Army are still too few. Ling Shao sighed softly. Only by forming an army could he unleash a greater combat strength. Moreover, only in the army could he better find and nurture talents. The Divine King Army and the Half-Saint Army were not very useful to Ling Shao, but they were the foundation. In the future, the saints and great saints of the Heaven Prison world would be born from them. Ling Shao placed the most importance on the Saint Army and the Great Saint Army. However, he also understood that although the Heaven Prison world was vast and boundless, it was still far from the Divine world and the Devil world. There were not that many Saint Realm experts. As for the 3 great Saint Kings, Ling Shao did not care about them. They were probably not willing to join Ling Shao. However, with the deterrence of Fen Tian and the other great Saint Kings, they did not dare to complain. Master, it is still too difficult to become a saint. However, I have already tried. If the Saint Army and the Great Saint Army were to form a battle formation, even a Saint King would not be their opponent. If we could form an army of 1,000,000 saints and great saints, it would be enough to help Master sweep across the divine world. Fen Tian smiled bitterly. However, when he mentioned the Saint Army and the Great Saint Army, Fen Tian's eyes were filled with excitement. 1,000,000 saints and great saints. Even the divine world and the devil world would not have so many Saint Realm experts. Ling Shao shook his head. If there were really so many Saint Realm experts to form an army, that kind of vast momentum made Ling Zhao's heart palpitate. Master, you should know that the great calamity of the era is about to descend, and the heavens and realms are about to be reunited. Therefore, the world barrier of the various great worlds is getting weaker and weaker. In addition, our heaven prison world has Master's heaven's might like the prison monument, which contains the map of heavens and realms. This is our chance. The burning heaven Saint King slowly said, a flame called ambition surging in his eyes. You mean, Ling Zhao's eyes lit up. With the heaven prison world as the center, I will lead the Saint Army and the great Saint Army to conquer the myriad worlds. Fen Tian said in a deep voice. Conquer the myriad worlds? Ling Zhao slowly stood up. There seemed to be a bright light shining in his eyes. He was thinking about the possibility of Fen Tian's words. Master. When the great calamity of the era arrives, I am afraid that those emperors and great emperors will awaken from their slumber. Master has already offended the divine world and the demon world. The three great emperors of the demon world are peerless experts who are invincible in all heavens. We must possess sufficient strength to fight for a chance of survival in the great calamity of the era in the future. Fen Tian was afraid that Ling Zhao would not agree, so he quickly said. Chapter 2500. The burning heaven Saint King's life was already completely tied to Ling Zhao's, so he naturally began to loyally consider everything for Ling Zhao. He knew the fortune and opportunity on Ling Zhao's body, but he also knew the great enemy Ling Zhao was about to face. All of this needed to be prepared for a rainy day. Good. Burning heaven, I will grant you a portion of the authority of the prison monument, allowing you to open the passage to other worlds. You, Wang Ba, and the 10 Yin demons will lead the Divine King Legion, Half-Saint Legion, Saint Legion, and Great Saint Legion. Bring along the 3 hidden Saint Kings and conquer the myriad worlds together. Ling Zhao said as he looked at Burning Heaven Saint King. I am willing to die for Master. Burning Heaven Saint King was so excited that his entire body was trembling. He had lived for countless years, and his state of mind was already as tranquil as an ancient well. Although he had studied the heavenly Tao, he believed that there was nothing that could affect him anymore. However, Ling Zhao's words today made him unconsciously excited, and the blood in his body seemed to be burning. He knew that he was creating an era with Ling Zhao. This was an unprecedented feat, and it was also his opportunity and fortune. As a Saint King, he could already see the fate of the unseen world. Conquering the myriad worlds was robbing the fate of other worlds. In this process, as the master of the heavenly court, Ling Zhao would naturally obtain the greatest fortune. However, he would also be able to obtain quite a bit of fortune, and might even be able to advance his cultivation further. That was the legendary Supreme God realm. Thinking of this, Burning Heaven Saint King couldn't wait to set off and conquer the myriad worlds. Bring along my 7 true disciples and some talented disciples from the Changsun sect. Pay attention to their safety. Only in this kind of big battle can their cultivation increase rapidly. Ling Zhao thought for a moment and said to Burning Heaven Saint King. Yes. Burning Heaven Saint King nodded. Go and prepare. Ling Zhao waved his hand. Burning Heaven Saint King bowed to Ling Zhao and turned to leave. Conquering the myriad worlds. Perhaps I can spread the power of faith and strengthen the heavenly prison realm. The power of faith, this might be another path. Ling Zhao thought in his heart. Buzz. A ray of light flashed in his palm, and a wisp of golden power of faith dissipated. It contained a mysterious fluctuation of power, ancient and mysterious. Maybe I can create another clone with the power of faith. Ling Zhao's heart skipped a beat. When he was in the war god plane, he had collected a huge amount of faith power. That faith power was enough to raise his cultivation base by another 10%. It contained an incomparably terrifying power. However, out of instinct, Ling Zhao did not integrate the power of faith into his body. However, the power of faith was extremely profound. It did not belong to any of the 4 paths of the body, soul, laws, or heart. It seemed to be able to exist independently. Although there was a limit, requiring the power of faith from living beings to grow, Ling Zhao saw another possibility. This time, Fen Tian's conquest of the myriad worlds is a good opportunity for him to build a shrine for me in the world he conquered, set up a statue, and collect the power of faith. Ling Zhao thought in his heart. His soul trembled slightly, and wisps of Hongmeng purple qi filled the air. It made him vaguely see countless possibilities in the future. He then used the secret technique of time and menses and destiny to deduce. He vaguely sensed that the power of faith clone was extremely important to him in the future. In that case, I'll use the power of faith to create another clone. Ling Xiao muttered to himself. Boom! A golden flame rose in his palm. That was his fire of life, containing his power of the great path. It exploded in the void, forming an ancient furnace. The power of faith, like a torrent, emitted a bright glow, and was thrown into the furnace by Ling Xiao to begin refining. At the same time, Ling Xiao split a part of his soul and threw it into the furnace in front of him. It was not difficult for Ling Xiao to refine a clone after his cultivation had reached the Great Saint Realm. It was also very easy for other Saint Realm experts. Ordinary Saint Realm experts thought that refining a clone was extremely useless. To refine a clone, one must use incomparably precious treasures of heaven and earth and split one's own soul. Even so, the clone refined would be far inferior to the original body. There was no way to exert the full strength of the original body. Moreover, if the original body's soul was damaged, it would not be easy to recover. However, it was different for Ling Xiao. He had the vast power of faith accumulated by the entire war god realm for hundreds of years. This was the best treasure of heaven and earth for refining a clone. Moreover, the path of the clone was completely different from his. Although it would obey the original body, it could also cultivate and grow on its own. It did not rely on the original body, but only on the power of faith. Ling Xiao even felt that if he could collect enough power of faith, it would not be impossible for this clone to become an emperor. The ancient furnace shone with a resplendent glow as it was refined by Ling Xiao's natal flame. The vast power of faith within quickly fused with Ling Xiao's natal soul, gradually forming a humanoid figure. Ling Xiao began to nourish this clone with his life origin, allowing it to be fully nourished and gradually give birth to a faint breath of life. This was the process of creation. During this process, Ling Xiao also understood just how lucky he was to have been able to create Dark Soaring Firmament. If it weren't for the supreme treasure that was the demon source bone, then it would have been impossible for him to create Dark Soaring Firmament. Crack! As the ancient furnace shattered, it bloomed with a dazzling light. A golden light shot out from the furnace and instantly appeared in front of Ling Xiao. It was another Ling Xiao. His whole body was dazzling with golden light as if it was cast in gold. He looked perfect, heroic, and vigorous. His appearance was exactly the same as Ling Xiao's, but the difference was that he had a head of golden hair, thick and lustrous. He looked incomparably holy and majestic. His whole body was glowing and contained endless power in his body. He was like a celestial emperor walking in the mortal world, able to support heaven and earth. People couldn't help but feel reverence and faith in him. Ling Xiao could perceive that he was formed from pure power of faith, but he had been given life and had become a little different. Greetings to the original body. The clone of faith smiled at Ling Xiao. His smile was clear and pure, making people unable to help but have a good impression of him. From today onwards, you are Ling Xiao, my clone of faith. Ling Xiao said slowly. The clone of faith in front of him didn't seem to have a strong aura. It only had the cultivation of the divine spirit realm. Compared to Ling Xiao, it was like a newborn child. However, Ling Xiao saw endless hope from it,